not saying,
Right.
really fucked up things,
Burn it all down.
right.
Burn.
But if I'm saying things like that are very milquetoast and mundane, like
Yeah.
men are men, trans women are men, men are women, that is not spicy in my world. If a company has a problem with it, I really don't give a fuck because chances are I probably wouldn't want to. If that didn't come up before and they have a problem with that, well, fuck you. I can find another job. I really don't give a fuck. I have contracting gigs that I work on all the time that is a full-time job just to find the fucking things. So if I have to find a new contract, now hopefully my savings will last, like I'm not immune to any of this stuff, but
I hear
I
you,
can
man.
job hop if I really need to. I mean, what am I gonna fucking lie down and die in a fucking ditch? I mean, come on, I mean, you gotta keep moving forward. So,
Better to die on your was it on your feet than what was it? Better to something
or
said.
I think it was like better to serve on your feet in hell or better to lead on your feet in hell than die on your knees and have I can't remember. I just probably messed it up worse than you did.
Dude, I was like, save me, Michael. All right, we're gonna go down in this ship together. Okay, here we go. Got the lighting. My cheap. This is a lighting pole from my parents' room. The base is breaking, so the thing is tilting a little. One of these days in the morning meeting, it's just gonna crack.
Yeah, trust
Lost
me.
our host.
Yeah, I have my own. Like, I got my blur. I guess I can unblur my back. I really don't care, but
Oh, it's cool. I love the black and white, man. That kind of it makes you.
yeah, you know what I kind of want to find, and I haven't found it yet. I'm probably gonna have to code it up. Like when I have like whenever I find a random 35 cents that I can shit out my ass to do it. But like I want to do like and I look for it. I think it exists on Instagram. But I'm not on Instagram, so it doesn't apply to me. But there's like a force ghost. What I really want to do is like I really want to do like a force ghost kind of aurora thing or what like is a filter. I think that would be fucking cool. But until then, the black and white is fine.
Nice, nice, nice.
But I
I
like
would
the black and white because it's a little bit different. It's just a little bit different, but it's not too crazy.
no,
Okay.
since we're on this subject, actually, because I had maybe it might have been on Varshney Tech. I'm checking the 863 left. So, okay, the 863 left, Galt's Gulch, South Texas, 956, the 95 sizzle, right? South Padre Island, Raleigh already has like a vacation spot out there. Keep that on the DL.
I don't know what you're talking about.
South Padre Island?
No, 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 no. I'm saying like I don't know what you're talking about. Like I didn't know
Oh,
that I
dude.
heard any of this information.
Look at me, dude. I'm like, he's playing along, and then I'm like, what? Okay, so anyways, you know Galt's Gulch, that whole Ayn Rand reference, right? Are you an Atlas
The
Shrugged at all? Am I?
the what now? What was it again?
Oh, Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm familiar. Yeah, yeah. I've attempted many times to read that book, and I did kind of sort of complete it. But it's a brutal slog through if you're not into that or you don't have true interest. I'll put it
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
way.
yeah. Like Raleigh at the end of the African dog, dude. He was like, "How much longer?" I was like, "All right, we're almost there." Almost.
It's a slog for sure.
So, anyways, Galt's Gulch is that liberal utopia, classically liberal utopia, like the business to business cooperative, right? Just free, independent spirits. Everyone's producing. Anyways, South Texas.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, where was I going with all of that? And the filters. Oh, the filters. So, this 8.6 free left is where I like to push any free software, right? The open source software.
Right.
And my Varshney tech is my kind of tech junky stuff. And you mentioned the filters, and there's
Oh
one
yeah.
I saw that's totally free. And you had mentioned one, so I just want to trade notes on this real quick because I'm paying 80 bucks. These are costing me 80 bucks a year, and I'm like, I'd probably not worth it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Although, do you see that? How if I pop my eyes, they do that with the glasses?
If you do what now? Oh,
If I,
that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
That's neat.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
I was in a vintage store with my kids. Like after we, I just randomly popped in the door. Like after I crambered my way through the thing. Like, hey guys, this afternoon, and we went to a vintage store that's in this U City Loop in St. Louis or whatever. So it's the more urban, part that actually has shit going on. And I saw like that in the they had a display case, glass case, and they had like all these very stylish, older, retro, vintage sunglasses, and I was like looking, and I was actually looking for you. I was looking, and I saw they didn't quite have the heart-shaped one though. They had like all
No.
the other kind of thin and narrower, more feminine, the 60s, 70s kind of style, you know, like the with the thick you've seen them. You can see like that. But I was looking and I was like, if I find one, I'll buy it and I'll just send it to you. Or whatever,
And then
or let you choose if you want it, if that was cool or not, or whatever.
know that when Kathy shows back up, we'll be like, "See, Kathy, we cut down the overhead. They're real now." Do you
Right,
remember
right.
she gave me the grief over the? She's like, "I don't like filters." I was,
Oh no, I didn't know that. I didn't hear that. It might
it
have
was
been.
so funny. It was random. I don't know if you
Hmm.
remember which Kathy.
Yeah, the Kathy, the black Kathy, that
No, no,
comes on the show, whatever.
that's Cheryl.
Oh, Cheryl. Sorry. Damn it. Well, it's a C, so there you
No,
go.
no,
Like that.
Kathy's not white.
Okay.
Because Chris was like, you white people, and then Kathy's like, well, I'm not 100%. It was so funny. It got all into that. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I
I'm
don't
sure
think you
she
were
was
there for
on,
that
but
one. I'm
it's
sorry.
hard to, I really only remember people if their camera's on and they speak, for like more than like one go around. You know what I mean? Like, the
Yeah,
more somebody speaks it and I interact with them or whatever, I'm more likely to remember them because I'm terrible with like, unless it was like really recently or something, then I'll remember. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when I'm on a million different Zoom meetings for here and there and everywhere, like it gets harder. So I don't necessarily remember her, but I'm sure I have. I'm sure I've been in the same time and space as her in two-way or otherwise. But yeah.
No, I've told Raleigh, I'm like, just text me now. Because if we send things in the Zoom chats, it's like, oh, that's gone. That's gone. That's gone.
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah, oh, in between Zoom sessions. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
Yeah,
whole
and well, I got a question for you. Are you on Signal at all?
I saw that I had some account installed somewhere. Like I have
Okay.
downloaded it, so I must be.
Okay. Because I have Raleigh on Signal, and that's independent for the most part of like phone numbers or I mean I have a VoIP. Just like you were talking about, I don't know your whole spiel about Red Phone or whatever. I'm familiar with that. I know what you're
Red
doing.
Pocket, Red Pocket's just a cell company.
Yeah, but it's a special one, like where you can it ensures, I believe that it ensures your privacy. It's privacy first, I believe.
No, no, no,
No.
no. Red Pocket is like cheapo basement.
Oh, okay, never mind then. I'm
It's
mixing it up with
T-Mobile.
something
Yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, sorry.
But anyway, I've had a VoIP phone with like I've had a forever number like for 20, 15 years now or something, like really long time. And I used that. I kept that phone number like when it was once upon a time cell phone number, and then I kind of put it on ice. So I ported it into Google Voice, and I was intending on using that because Google Voice was really good. I remember way back when it's Grand Central, so like I'm old OG
Yeah,
over here with the Google Voice, but and then Google Voice, and then it Google kind of they instead of like them like looking at it and it had their attention. The Google always has this problem. They'll look away or they'll look somewhere else, and then whatever they stop looking at starts to just
yeah,
not die per se, but it doesn't really improve either.
yeah. It
Uh,
didn't. It could have. Yeah, I mean, it's so much
but all
possible.
that aside, I finally like when the going through the thing, and I wanted to be able to like do my text messaging, my phone calls, my whatever on my desktop, the same as my tablet or my phone, independent of not being in one ecosystem or the other. So I did that. I ported it over to a VoIP provider, and it's been like my main number. So I have like that's my main public number, let's put it that way. And then I have my private, you know, cell
Nice.
phone iMessage thing that I don't usually give out. Like I don't care if you or whatever. Or otherwise I use Signal. My brother-in-law and I are on Signal. We were on Wire app. It's a end-to-end encrypted alternative to um like Signal or what are
All
the
right.
other ones? And anything related to Facebook, like WhatsApp or the other one, I think that they bought out is verboten in my eyes. Like as soon as they grabbed it, it was like I never trusted WhatsApp. I never got on that bandwagon. But anyway, Signal with me and my brother-in-law, we switched over to Signal because it was easier because Wire was goopy as fuck with the notifications and the audio video, but like the Signal is great because it gives you a very near peer parity of like iMessage and how cool it is and encryption and all that bullshit, FaceTime and all this.
Okay, without the craziness of Discord, right?
Yeah, Discord is cool, but like it's also like it's made for younger people that are used to it. So like I've used it, but I've never now my brother-in-law who's a little bit older than me,
Yeah.
he uses it all the time, whatever. And I have tried to, but I just haven't found like a really need or use case for me to stick around. Like there's some YouTube subscribers that are like I'll pay a membership for a month or two or whatever, and then I'll get the Discord, and then you can kind of. But like, there's not like I don't like I hang around the Film Threat. I'm a member of Film Threat. They're a YouTube channel that's Chris Gore and Alan Ing. And they're like old school fucking Chris Gore goes all the way back to Tech TV days, screensaver days, like Leo Laporte. And anyway, whatever. But I like those guys. I like him because he doesn't really get into he still talk he gives an opinion, but he's really about films and that. So that's about it. But I'm not in there every day, like I like I don't unless it's in the main rotation, I don't see it or whatever. But it's just like anybody else. I have my own little things. But yeah, I have my own little websites and all that stuff too. Or domain. I don't know if you ever did this before, but like I have my own domains, like my
Yeah.
email address, those are my domains that I own, and then one is on. I think I talked about it a little bit before. One's on E3 license, Microsoft 365 Online, with
Okay.
all the things there, and then I have a G Suite one that I've had forever, and then my kids feed off of my G Suite one off of my other domain. So they have their own accounts and
Like it
stuff.
like started at like $3 a month, right? Then
Oh
$5.
yeah, dude. Yeah, they're fucking yeah, they're pricks, dude. But I mean, I mean, I don't really have a right to complain because I have been with them forever. And at some point they're gonna raise the prices. So it does suck though. They're kind of bastards for that. And I think they did something else to like fuck people out of like nonprofit ones too or something. I can't remember, but they changed the licensing over the years to kind of force people to close that gap so that they have to pay for
Okay,
something.
okay, okay. I got to share a like business case study experience and like a shame on me, like part of what I've been sweeping stuff under the rug.
Yeah,
So,
hold that thought 1 second. I gotta go grab water and my thing. Just hold that 1 second. Sorry.
totally, totally, totally. No, 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 sweet. I'll work on the fire here and make sure it's going. Our virtual, our still image fire.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I'm
Okay,
back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back.
sweet. Now I'm like
Sorry about
checking.
that. That was rude. I apologize.
No, 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 no. This is all casual. That's why whenever Raleigh starts going off with the metrics and the format, I'm like, dude, Michael said it easy does it. Like, whatever.
Oh,
Because like we all have kids and all dynamic stuff. So like, anyways,
oh,
let
right,
me
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
let me not lose the thread. So one of the business opportunities I stumbled into, like from me doing a website, Wrestleville, I saw my LinkedIn, the Lance by Chance, right? And then I ended up turning it over, thank God, right? Because some clients, it just, whatever.
Yeah. Clients are
So
the worst and the best.
yeah, exactly. Best at times, worst at times, right? All learning experience. Oh my God, the light almost just fell on me. Okay, I really got to figure that out. Shit. It's real, folks. We're real here. So, across this, I did a attorney friend a website. Okay, just simple stuff. And then he had this thing. He's like, Rahul, can you set it up that when whatever email he gets, his paralegal gets it too, right? And that when she sends something out, he gets CC'd or whatever, right? He gets it
Right,
too. So okay, so first I was able to do it through G Suite, Google, yeah, G Suite, right? They have forwarding rules.
right.
hella overcomplicated for what I wanted, like over engineered, right? You can do 1,000 different things. I just wanted the simple feature, right?
Right.
But I got it working. And then for when his paralegal or him would send out an email, I found a free BCC service that has like some premium tier, but they just had to ignore that. So, okay, fine. But then this G Suite thing is costing me like 14, I think $7 per user. So it's like $14 a user. And then I was charging him a little bit, whatever. And I was paying, something happened, his credit card expired, and
Uh-oh.
then I got this stupid idea. I'll put it on my dad's card
Oh.
and my client will pay me, you know?
Right.
3 years later. Like I haven't, you know, because it's just adding up. And then the client helped me in
Right.
different ways. But the great thing is I found the solution. He actually gave me another client that you might have seen in my Varshney Tech, forwardemail.net. So this is like for $7 a year, you can do unlimited white labeling of email. And in theory, we can make our own email client with it. So, anyways, that's just to share with you that whole email forwarding concept with attorneys. It's like a niche market, right? Any attorney would love that sort of and insurance people would love it too. Is that a oh, okay. I was like,
No, I was just getting paper. I ran out. I like to scribble down notes and write shit down when I'm talking.
oh,
Uh,
sweet, 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 sweet.
Especially like while we're talking, there's gonna be some random bit of fucking tidbit that I'm gonna.
Oh no, no, dude, you don't know
I
how
like to
many.
take notes from smart people that I meet. Essentially, so maybe they go somewhere, maybe they don't. But writing it down helps me. The physical,
No, I hate when I forget my notebook because in the morning show or whatever, I'll be like, oh, write that down. And then it's like, dude, too late. Can't
I'm
find.
I'm a priss about what surface I write on. So I got there's this thing called it's cardstock, right? Which is a little bit thicker than a piece of paper. Because I have a desk and I don't a thin just a sheet of paper isn't going to cut it. And
Right.
notebooks, I don't really like them. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I just get too autistic about it. But there's this kind of paper that is like it's called I don't know, birthday sparkle or birthday thing, and it has like little cool little soft blues and reds and yellows like in the paper, and it's stupid, but it's fun and happy, and it's not too bad,
Hey,
and
man,
I like.
whatever,
But like I like to fold it like a card, and then like I like to do I have my own like notes, taking randomized thing. Most of these cards I just keep, and then it's hard and it's durable, so it's not just gonna like
I
fly
love it.
away with a good piece of paper. It feels good to write on too,
All right. Things are heating. I feel the intellectual vibe is going up. I just took off 3 layers. California, dude, it's always cooling up, heating down. So
What part of Cali are you in? You don't have
Cali.
to say specific part of
Oh no, no.
California.
Do you see my handle now? Rdizzle 408. So that's like San Jose, essentially.
Oh, San Jose. Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Almaden Valley to be like foofy about it.
Word. I got family in Sacramento area,
There you go.
that area, and then I've been to California a number of times. I went to San Diego for a
Oh,
work trip. This is a
beautiful.
long time ago. I took my honeymoon
Very
in
nice.
Sonoma Valley with
Oh,
Petaluma and
beautiful.
Bodega Bay and all that very beautiful thing. And then we flew out of California to Hawaii. Like this is a long time ago. Like it was our first post-COVID vacation and we
Not
had money saved up for the prior thing, but nobody could go anywhere. So we just had. I was like, oh, we got a pile of money. Let's fucking go to. I was like, where you guys want to go? And they're like, the kids were like, one of them said Hawaii, and I was like, can we do that? And then I looked up, I started pricing it out, and it was like, fuck, we can do that. Hell yeah, let's do it. Fuck. And then we did it. So
nice.
anyway, fun times. Random, random, random. Anyway, you were saying about your client and you found the email white label or whatever
So, so,
service
so,
that you could
so,
do.
yeah, two aspects. The simpler aspect, like the white labeling, is actually a new feature that's enabled by this forwardemail.net. I'm plugging them because I love the guys. It's like one dude. That's what I'm saying. The true genius software is like one guy, and then maybe once he gets to scale, he probably gets a little support team for trouble tickets, right?
Right.
But it's just him. He's the main developer. So,
Or
um,
AI.
yeah, well, right, right, right. So, or aliens.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, okay. But this idea of like the main attorney receives an email, the paralegal does, that applies with insurance agents or adjusters if they have an assistant, right? A lot
Yeah.
of 2 3 person businesses. So Now I feel like I'm just talking about that. So, anyways,
No,
that
you're
was
good. You're good,
thing,
man.
yeah, interesting niche thing. And then, but the shame on me is I'm still carrying this account. I don't need. It's bad, dude. It's because when you put things on your dad's card, you kind of lose track.
I hear you. No, I hear you. I've made my share of client mistakes. It's like, God damn it. I'm gonna have to eat a few extra hamburgers that are shit burgers really than not. But we all learn and grow. That's what you're gonna do. But
Yeah. And then I told you the story about that immigrant portal where then she turned it into a rainbow dating site. I was like, whoa, this is not what I signed up for.
oh
And
yeah, bits and pieces. Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
we
yeah,
just parted mutually. She knew I was like tied up, and then because she had put this offer to renew, and I was like, dude, I'm so beyond done because it was like years and like
right.
so. And but I learned a lot. Learned a lot.
Yeah, but as far as like talking about streaming and YouTube and stuff, yeah, I have my personal channel, I suppose you would call it, which is just it's literally Sofa King Jewish. Which is
That one, that one. That's
yeah,
right.
that's my personal one. I think I have 59, maybe 58. I don't know. I don't care about numbers or subscribe. I'm happy that it's more than like one. And my joke is that my joke to Tom, my co-host on the show, we didn't do the show tonight because he was not feeling he was under the weather, so whatever. But um uh we have this the show or whatever, and I joke when we were first started out, of course you have no fucking subscribers, and I was like but the joke was like, oh hi mom, I'm glad you're watching, and I see that we have our third subscriber. I guess that was my brother, like a joking, like you like put it up on the fridge mom kind of type thing, the energy anyway. Um, so I'm just happy that like, like if somebody watches or whatever, occasionally my brother will punk me and like log into one of his things and he'll like type chat things like he hasn't done it in a long time, but I quit streaming after the election because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just did. I don't I do it I do it when
Hey,
I
when it
want to
feel
do
when
it.
the desire is there, yeah.
Right. I don't do it. So like of course the election, of course I gotta sound off like every other airhead.
No. Good for you, dude. I got bit by the bug a little later. I mean, this whole thing,
Yeah.
man, until
Well,
2A and that whole, yeah.
well, it's our generation's pastime. I mean, so maybe our dads and grandpas had, I don't know, fucking the weekend racetrack or something, or they had a fucking car that they were always or whatever, or maybe they were into guns, or maybe they were into
The Bridge Club.
fucking bocce
Bridge
ball.
Club.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know. Who
exactly.
fucking knows, dude? But this is what we do. This is what we do. Just what it is. It's just part of the culture, is what it is. Like I find this fun. I like talking. I like you. I like Raleigh. Maybe we're all axe murderers in our spare time, and
Let me
we have a
react.
facade up.
Let me
I don't know. I'm
react to
just
that.
joking, but yeah.
Hearts, all hearts. No. That's okay. Okay, so first I had to know because the Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the
Oh,
Sofa King Jewish, right?
yep.
I was like,
Yep. Yep. That's exactly where it came from. Yeah. And you know what? Originally, this came from like many things. I'm not unique to any of this stuff. Like a lot of these handles that come through or whatever, they were your gamer tag, or you thought about them, or some permutation of that way back in the day when I was in college. I mean, I didn't. I went to the military for. I went to the military. I was 17, and then I got out and whatever. And then I went to college, so I did things backwards. So I was a little bit older. But in the college day, like community college days, I had the perfect schedule. I had the pizza delivery job to have my pocket change. I was living with my girlfriend in her grandma's house, like, and then we got our own place, whatever. That was actually ended up being the kiddo's mom, but way before kids, way before marriage, way before all this. I had my original PlayStation gamer tag was F underscore Islam in the A. Like, like that was just my thing. And surprisingly, I was able to keep it from PS2 days, like SOCOM Combined Assault,
yeah.
like back in the day. And if you were a gamer back in the day with the PS2, you would have there was an Ethernet extension adapter card that a module that you could put on the PlayStation 2
Okay, yeah.
to get internet, and it was like 100 megabytes. It was like nothing
Yeah.
big, but you didn't need it back then in those days anyway. But I had my rotation for like a good year plus. I would I would go I would go to my classes, midday or whatever my schedule was. I would go do that. And then if I had to work a shift, I'd work a shift and then I'd come home, hang out with the girlfriend, and then like after midnight or 11:30, I would be up until 4 in the morning or whatever, smoking pot. Although I have to step outside to do that, but I would smoke
Right.
pot. I would play. I had my buds that were all doing the same thing. We would play SOCOM Combined Assault until we had our own clan. We just had fun, and that was back when you could do like a combined like campaign co-op or whatever. So that was cool. And then later on, that name got banned and taken away from me. Sorry,
What
that's
happened?
beeping, and,
Oh,
and I'm debating. I'm holding my annoyance in check, like a good practitioner of patience. Anyway. Um, yeah. So anyway, so later on, Aqua Teen came first, and it was Sofa King, We, Todd, Ed, or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I just combined the Jewish, and then that, surprisingly, that one lasted a very long time. And I think at some point, I think it did get banned, or they didn't like it, or whatever. I was like,
dude,
fuck you,
you
cocksuckers.
perfect segue tag team, man. Because I sent a trouble ticket because to Zoom because Raleigh's like the meeting still doesn't show up in my like main thing, and other people have said they had the same issue. So then I sent it, and then dude, I go to the contact page, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, why? I
Oh
don't know if you
well.
noticed they're always pushing the veil.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's like that's the it's like a trope now. It's like a cliche.
So
You gotta have a black person, you gotta have a Mideastern looking complected person with a fucking hot whatever, or you gotta have, the thing that I don't, yeah, it is what it is, but
no, but see,
I don't,
this is where I have to speak up because the veil specifically. So this was okay, Hashim Mamadani, dude. This is in our Dizzle, like what 1. I mean, what version of the Matrix are we on, Michael?
right.
7.0, right? So it's like, or whatever, right? That's always a fun
Whatever
thing.
makes you money is where we're at.
By the way, as an aside, Raleigh's not here, so I'll limit, right? But we were going through, the alien stuff again. So I brought up the Ten
Right.
Commandments, and then he's like, "Isn't there, isn't there like a Jewish version?" And I'm like, "This is the this
Right,
is the."
right,
And
right.
then I was like,
Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was like, okay, let's back up. I was like, okay, Noah, like the flood, and we were tracing it because I was like, okay, because even
Right.
me, it's like helpful to remember. Okay, Joseph sold into slavery, right, and then all through Egypt, right hand, but then again slaves in Egypt, but then Moses liberating, but then Exodus. So the whole thing, and I was like, that's when these laws came down. So
That's funny.
it was great, man. You would
Well,
have.
I see. I guess I kind of forgot that Raleigh was Jewish. And I know he said that before. I forgot about it. But
Cajun on the dad's side and the mom's side.
yeah. But the way it goes though is and it's so different for Jews or for Jews or Christians or Buddhists or whatever. You have your traditional. This is what we do all the time.
Right.
And obviously, if these things are alive and part of the everyday culture or location where you're at, whether you're in the US or whatever, that's part of like Catholics, right? Like, so there's a billion Catholics out there. Not really, but there's a whole shit ton of Catholics out there. And the only thing that they know about Catholicism is Mass, and then they know maybe some of the bend, genuflect, kneel, stand, rise, sing, sit down, like there's more people that go not necessarily because they believe or they don't believe. That's just part of what they do. That's just part of the tradition, the culture of going. So I would not be surprised about somebody not being like I'm Jewish, but I'm not what I call super Jewish, right? So like the ones that
You're
are
not
observant
sofa.
and right. Well, the ones that are like super Jews that are like observant and they do the thing and they do they do all the things that you're supposed to do as a Jew. And to me, it is what I'm Reform, if anything, which is looked down upon in some Orthodox or whatever. But whatever. Like the whole point, my argument against the whole establishment of Orthodox Judaism is like, okay, guys, that's great. You look down upon me because I don't observe all these, things that you're supposed to do according to the great thing about being a Jew though is that all the 613 commandments that are in the Torah only apply to Jews. It has nothing to do with Christians or anybody outside of that world or that circle. That's it. That's it. If you choose to come into the hallways of Judaism, then they mean something or they don't, whatever. But there's also Jews that are just ethnic only. They don't believe in God. There's all kinds and types, just like there are, kind of Christians or whatever. And Jewish is kind of weird because is it a race? Is it a religion? Is it a culture? Is
There's
it
a
a,
great sign.
is,
That's why
is
we
it a
Raleigh and me were talking
fucking
about sign.
this or
Yes.
that or whatever? Well,
Yes.
it's a little bit of everything. So whatever that means to you. At the end of the day, it's kind of like it's not any, well, it's slightly significantly different because it actually has ties to reality and history of like self-identifying, like my identity as a Jew, It's a little bit different though than when you change your gender, your immutable biological characteristics or whatever. But that's all. We've been through that a billion fucking times before, but yeah, but okay, cool. I thought you froze for a second. Cool.
Oh no, no, no,
Hashim
no. Okay, okay. Sorry. And then for a second, I was like,
Amamadani.
are we getting spammed? I was like, Michael's like, well, no, what's the video? So this is, it. Unfortunately, we can't split screen. But so I showed you the veil earlier, right?
Mhm.
And the reason I don't take it lightly because people try to go, oh, that it's just another culture. No, 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 no. So Hashim Almadani back in that Matrix 5.0, back in the Gavin McGinnis Proud Boys Matrix, like prior to Trump. So this would have been like 2014,
Yeah, yeah,
12.
yeah. I'm loosely familiar with Gavin McGinnis, and I followed him loosely over the years. Like, I'm not a big fan. I'm also not a big detractor either. I'm fairly neutral on him when it
I
comes
guess
to.
you know what I mean. Hey, man, if we want progress for all people. I want Ben Shapiro to improve, and I want my old high school classmate buddy to improve. Right? I mentioned earlier, it's like former Al Jazeera correspondent,
Right.
right? And so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna hop back and forth. Michael's like, man, this just got real. No,
All
okay, but
good.
see,
All good.
the left hook, right? So they're representing a certain perspective,
Right.
theoretically, right?
Right.
Okay. But going back to Hashim, this guy, okay, when he interviewed me by God's grace, right? Because I was giving him all these people to interview and you interview, right? And he's like, Rahul, why don't I just interview you? And I was like, oh, okay. And so this is back when I was in Texas, right? And he was an atheist or is, okay, as far as I know.
Right.
First guy out of Iraq, like a true Iraqi refugee. Okay. And his dad is like, get out of here. Because one of the, oh, that's what I had as a note. We have to have like our top one, two, or three valuetainment Patrick Bet David interviews.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that was for his
I'm gonna stop sharing that.
mentor. He calls it it's his app or whatever. It's a fucking I can't think of it, but I've heard him hawk it. I get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
That's all. That's all. I mean, the app stuff kind of, don't even get me started. But I'm just talking like in terms of content. He interviewed the Uday Hussein lookalike, okay, who says
Yeah.
we essentially turned over Iraq to like the chef. It's like they literally just picked out people from Saddam's like kitchen and oh, you're the prime. It's okay. That's an amazing interview. The guy
Mm.
is so humble. Okay. And the mayhem they experienced. Okay. The other one was the Facebook whistleblower. How Mark Zuckerberg was making money off of Facebook ads, like you could pay money to show pets getting killed, for example. And
Oh
this
yeah.
guy was,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I experimented back in that Wild West era. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, very familiar.
okay. So now that's another Patrick. And then the third was okay, okay, back to Hashim. I want to carry this thread. So this Hashim Al-Madani, right? Oh, what did I have it on? Patrick Ben David. What was I connecting with him and Hashim and the veil? um, well, okay, because of Iraq, because of
Right.
Iraq,
Like
because
first generation or first refugee or whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go on. Yeah, yeah.
and Hashim was doing these amazing interviews. He interviewed a guy in Europe, and he's saying, "Look, in certain circles, you can't talk about this subject, and you can't talk about like Muslim, whatever, right?" And so Hashim shared a documentary with me on the Muslim Brotherhood. And that's where it was so fascinating because the founder's brother was like, we don't have any beef. There's no beef. The
Right.
only time there's beef is if you're denied worship, which there's no place on earth that anyone's denied worship. Okay. And like that's it. So he's like, what is this veil about? This is
Right.
nothing. This is just a way of distinguishing ourselves and preventing ourselves from integrating, you know? So ever since then, I've been like hyper alert because it was always, as another aside, I protested with a hijabi at UCLA. Like when we were doing the like affirmative, because remember I was all big lifty then. So affirmative action,
Right.
anti-war. And then this hijabi, she was always like, yeah. She was always fired up. And I was like, whoa, what's up with this passion? But anyways, that a lot of rabbit holes there. So I'll just kind of pause.
Oh, trust me, I get it. Well, it's too easy. It's fun. It's fun. That's the beautiful part of conversation. That's all an interview is a conversation, just like anything else. You know, it's a conversation that should be interesting. Let's put it that way. There is a differentiator on that because you can go into an interview and suck ass, and by equal amount, so is dating. So is dating. Either you're interesting in the conversation or you're not, you know, and there's some a little bit more into that on the romantic side, you know, that there's a whole other thing. I'm oversimplifying it, but that's essentially conversation and back and forth is humanity's oldest and will be. I don't know what the fuck I don't know if we're gonna have things that go up our ass and we have things that come out of the back of our head and we just can communicate at the speed of wire or whatever. But I can tell you it's going to involve a conversation. You know, 1,000 years into the future, if there are humans still around, it's going to be a conversation, and that will still be the number one way to entertain and communicate. You know, it's fascinating to me. I love communication and that aspect of it, and rhetoric and things in that. And of course, I like to blood sport of politics in a certain light, for sure. But in just talking to interesting people and things that's the whole what we're doing
Light,
now.
light, you see that? The light came in there for a second. Oh my God, dude. I really okay, wait. I guess if I just rotate it, I don't even need this thing. The filter like already let me retire this light, dude, before it actually
Yeah, all
caught
good.
fire, man. No, no, you know what you were reminding me of, Michael, is one of there's that guy on two-way, the Rad Tech. I totally blank on his name, but he's like a Scott Adams fan. That's what he shared. And
Okay, right on.
and Scott Adams had Naval, Naval Ravikant, one of these sorry, okay, one of these tech guru guys. Besides the point. Okay, it's Naval is his x.com, Naval, N as in Nancy.
Mm,
And another Elon Musk, right? Okay. Look, Michael, you have to understand from my perspective, I'm on the inside of Silicon Valley. So I'm kind of like that Ram Dass whose parents were hiring and firing rabbis.
right.
I'm like, oh, dude, all you people, VCs, like, whatever. I mean, fine, respect. You make money. I got to respect that. I should humble myself. But like, anyways, that's me venting and trying to be all big shot. But so the takeaway from Scott Adam and Naval was about communication and discourse and this idea of like transmitting that information, right? That's like from a high point to a low point, right? Where you just reminded me of that. So
Well, and that's another fascination I have too is like okay, so if you pick up a new habit or a new skill set or whatever, right? It's the same no matter what it is, you know. You read about it, then you maybe you talk about it, or you talk either into it or around the periphery of it or whatever, but somehow you're kind of connecting, you're easing your way into it. And then there comes the practical part where you do the practical exercise of doing it or practice whatever. And then you put all together and then you make a product or a project or you make a product or something. And when I say product, I don't mean like you're selling it or whatever. I just mean like that is the fruit of the labor of this thing. And maybe it's ultra shitty the first few times you do it. But again, that goes back into the whole thing of iteration and improving and continuous improvement, whatever you want to call it. You can do DevOps or Agile, whatever you want to call Sigma 6 or Lean IX or whatever the fuck, it's that kind of that constant improvement of doing this thing. And then eventually you do it enough, um, you can just walk into any room, anywhere, anytime and speak on that subject, pull it out of your pocket, so to speak, and then boom, you're ready to go. I love that. I'm in love with that concept of being well versed enough to you absorb or you have experience in a domain or a subdomain of whatever, could be anything in life or work or whatever, and then you can kind of roll up, pop out the door, hit the field, and go to fucking work. You know what I mean? Like I love that. I love that part. I love that aspect of. I don't
Just
even know what that's called, but I think you know it. I think you get my drift or whatever.
no, the synergy. You find yourself next to a dude named R Dizzle.
Right. Which I love. I love that. I love that. I would never have found, and I'm a little bit more open to it because in the military, it's kind of expected that you're chucked into a room full of fucking strangers every fucking whatever, months or years. And then you kind of get a framework of like, okay, I don't know any of these people, but we can bond on common things that we've all been through, crucibles that we've been through, gauntlets that have been thrown down, i.e., basic training, our MOS, being the combat, being deployed, just general military sucks. And today is another day, so just enjoy it because it's gonna suck. Like embrace the suck or whatever you want to, put around it. But that I learned that in the military, and I love that, and I love that I can meet you in California, and we can have this if we connect or whatever, and then we can continue on. I love that I can connect with Chris Simmons or whatever. And the highest compliment that I could ever give Chris Simmons is that I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but let's just say that he was my local state rep and I was in a Democrat district. And this goes back to the whole politics thing of like where people, and you talk about skating around. Fuck, man, I'm hopping over fields and counties and states right now. So I'm all over the map. But you have like a Chris Simmons, let's just say he was my local rep for state level or whatever. Even if he was the only guy on the thing and he didn't agree with the core values that I would see in an elected official, like for certain things that I really care about, I would still vote for him and trust him that I will like this is the difference between a really good communicator and just a communicator. If you're a really good communicator, people will trust you. You know what I mean? Like they will be like, maybe we don't agree, but like I know enough of you as a human being that like where I would extend that bridge of trust to like vote for. I haven't said that to him yet, but I was gonna, if it came up, I was gonna mention it. Like, Chris, I really don't agree with you on some things, but if you were my rep, I would have no problem voting for you. I would have confidence enough that if something really stupid was going on with DEI or whatever,
Yeah.
you would be smart enough to be like, hold up, guys. No, no, this is gonna hurt the cause versus, whatever or whatever, you get the point. But and then
I
there's
would.
just, kind of thing. But he is more of senior to us, and so is Jim or
Yeah,
James,
yeah,
and so
elder
is,
statesman, elder statesman kind of
yeah.
looking over our shoulders,
But
right?
I love that. I love that it's like all a group of people. I fucking love that. Like Aaron Reyes came out of fucking nowhere.
Ron.
Yeah, Aaron. Yeah, 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 yeah. I love that. I love that
I found him
Professor
on
Kenny.
LinkedIn, by the way. So
What's that?
I found him on LinkedIn.
Aaron Reyes. Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Slide me the thing, and then I'll connect with them or whatever. My LinkedIn is the only thing that I maintain and keep because let's be honest, man. If you really need a job I go through LinkedIn. I don't care. I don't complain about it sucking or I don't care. I'm just in there for one reason. Find a job if I need to, whatever. But
Yeah, 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 yeah. And just, I was just making fun of when I did the political post and I kind of bashed Reid Hoffman is the whatever.
oh, I
Okay.
don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't care if anybody puts anything on there. I don't take any offense to it because
Now he's on my buddy's board. Okay, Cantaloupe Systems. So shout out Mandeep Arora. Now I'll have to tag him on X or whatever. But so they had a Cantaloupe Systems vending company, and then they brought Reid Hoffman on board, and I was gonna be like, dude, Netflix culture wars, but
Nestle, watch out for your water. They'll get it.
Oh my God, dude, you had like a hundred things. I just
Yeah,
wanted to.
sorry, I threw up a lot of arrows up in the air for you to catch.
No, no, no. That was because when you talked about the military and being thrown in a room, right? Yeah, yeah, no, 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 no. It's all good. It's all good. It takes me back to my union, the whole union days,
Yeah.
the shadow government. Let's be honest, right? And so, but trench warfare, and Michael, we were fighting union against union. I mean, that's some
Oh
sick.
yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, them union guys, dude. I came a brush with like I brushed against those guys with so in my on my LinkedIn, I have
I'm gonna
highlights.
share this out while you're talking, okay? So don't think
Oh,
that
I
I'm.
don't care. That's fine. Uh, on my LinkedIn, I have personal things that I volunteered for, like my kiddo's local school district. I'm not going to go in the whole thing, but I got really into that world. And it was a time when the divorce was nasty, and it is true, you either get busy living or you get busy dying. And I'm in no shape to die. So I threw myself into like volunteering to like find another way. Because when you're going through such a harsh part of life, you have a lot of negative energy and a lot of negative emotions and all, just like I'm no different than anybody else, stress, whatever you want to call it. You can take that energy and redirect it to a positive flow, okay? And that could be volunteering. That for me, it was the school board and the district, and it was perfect. It was chef's kiss, whatever. It was right time, right place, and I really made a change in the thing. Got a little bit of a local rep in the local area. Not a big deal at all, not even close. But when I spoke after that point, people trusted what I had to say. And then I kept doing it. I kept going on and on and on. And I kind of got to pull back the center for the point, but I put all that stuff on my LinkedIn thing or whatever. But it's really cool to like connect. Oh, the union thing. That's what this was about. Sorry, keeping the thread too, right? So I came into contact with like firefighters. There was because I had rose to high a decent enough elevation in the local political scene. I had I had the local a GOP rep for that area contacting me, like wanting to have like lunch. They were recruiting smartly people who could run for office to I wasn't the only one. There's a fire board in most counties and places. There's a fire board. There's a school board and a fire board, and the fire board takes care of the fire department, whatever. There was like this the firemen have a union, um, and
Oh, okay.
they
Okay.
they courted me hard to run against this other guy that they did not like that kept like doing anti-union, really egregious things that I agreed with. I've never been like a union person per se, but my dad was in a union. He worked for the railroad. He works for the railroad. He's so I appreciate aspects of the union, and I mean this from the heart when a union is set up right for the workers and for their betterment and has nothing to do with the politics, that's where you want to be, really. Now, unfortunately, politics and the union bosses and all that have corrupted all that shit to like where myself, well, for one thing, in technology, there's no such thing as a union, unless you're like coming up from like 1975 and you were part of the AT&T whatever the fucking
Yeah,
they got
yeah.
all the
Communication workers. Yeah, yeah,
telephonics
exactly.
people had a
Exactly.
union
Laying
and all
down
that,
line. You're laying down pipe.
right? But anyway, they would go like I did, and a lot of that there was crossover there because you have a lot of teachers and teachers are in unions, and I love teachers. I love my teachers, I love my military, I love my firefighters, I love my cops, I love them all, right?
Yeah, I taught
I
for a month.
even to a certain degree, I'll tolerate the union thing to a certain degree before I put my foot down and be like, you guys are fucking nuts. But anyway, I had this teacher who was he eventually ran for a school board in his local area years later, and he won. Great guy. I would trust him, for the most part. He was a very stand-up guy. We might not agree. Like it's kind of like that Chris Simmons thing, like where if we could really get into the weeds and we go line by line, we're probably not going to agree on a lot. But I trust you as a person to do the right thing and to facilitate. your fucking job as an elected official. I trust you to do that. Anyway, that's the whole point of representative. I'm getting long-winded here, but he was telling me
All good.
because I'm a veteran and I'm been a National Guard. I love the military. I love my service. I love what I've done. I love my brothers and sisters in uniform. Of course I would. But he was telling me about how like his great granddad was in the Union and their dad was and he was talking about how like they had fucking grievance like from like when the National Guard was called up to like put a this is like back in like fucking 100 plus years ago where they were the National Guard. I can't remember the thing, but it was like something to do with the Union and they were putting their foot down and saying we're not going to work anymore. You're not going to make us. And then the National Guard got called up and basically had a bloodbath there. So from that point forever. It's like the IRA and the fucking and the Catholics or whatever. Like it was like a blood feud, you know, like not quite as like substantial as that, but those union guys, in the union world, they do not. There's certain parts and portions of that world that will absolutely turn their back on the National Guard or because of that grievance or whatever. So these grievances go back a long way. So I have I don't have as deep as you do because you were on the ground and working that system or whatever and being part of the system. But the union world, like there is a whole other side to this world that is, that gets into the weeds of Marxism and whatever. Like they take it to the extreme and the objective is power at the end of the day. That's what it is, power. Because you can't do shit without power,
Well,
and
Michael, they gave
yeah,
up their sovereign duty. I mean, that's what because I had to go plumbing deep into like what the hell was I essentially was part of an Antifa parallel thing structure, right?
right,
Where anytime, okay, for example, Antelope Valley Hospital, this would have been 2004 before I came to Texas, like the last campaign. And the way they talk about it, like, oh my God, Crystal Padilla, and God willing, she'll come on our show one day. I think she's a Facebook buddy, right? So
right
it's
on.
funny, dude. I stayed on Facebook for you, Michael Shaw, so you never have to go back to that hellhole again.
Well, that's a whole other conversation, but yeah, it is what
No,
it is.
no, no, it's all good. It's all good. So I dread to go on, but for the sake of whatever, right? So, anyways,
God bless you. You got the patience, so good. God bless you.
it's just anyway. So I Antelope get over there, Lancaster, Crystal, the Star, blah blah blah, and it's always like, oh, she really got the workers going, right? Like this theoretical textbook idea that somewhere is this independent group of workers just waiting to organize, right? And they're going to be the start of the revolution, and no one but those workers is in control. Okay,
Right.
this is like the myth how it's sold. And so you get there and you're like, wow. And then I remember I start typing in the database, and Crystal's like, you know the database? And I'm like, I'm an engineer. I'm like the only ever, right? So
Right.
then little by little, and she, nothing against her, she was just doing her role, what she was assigned to do. Little by little, the campaign got taken from her, right? She was the local. No, 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 no. People from DC come in, right? And
Mm.
they start steering things.
Right.
So it was
Political. Yep.
okay. And then we were fighting the other union, which itself was a break off from the Service Employees International. This internal drama.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And this is I've shared this story before, and I just want to I'll say this one last thing, and then I maybe it's probably like again the Vietnam thing, right? Like I'm in the jungle again.
Right.
He had, and she's big time in the Dems. I know she's a professor somewhere, so she's a big Hillary Clinton, like one of those, right? Like deep TDS Dems, right? And she led this team. I remember, like, I was like, what are they doing? Like, they're phone banking? Like, what are they? She's like, no. They're special ops, like special operation. I mean, a little dramatic,
Right.
special team or whatever. And I'm like, okay, which is what? And then we
A
started hearing,
Q a QRF. Right.
okay, what's that? You got to tell me. QR.
Quick reaction force. Right. That
Yeah, okay,
military
okay.
department. Right.
So this is how the game is run. Okay, we started hearing from workers. Oh, that other union, NUHU, National Union of Healthcare Workers. They've been calling us at 9 p.m., 9:30. Man, we're getting pissed off. And then we were getting accused of posing as them. I couldn't believe it.
Hmm.
And then little by little, I found out, yeah, we're running a team of organizers. We have supposedly limited resources, and the union dues are being spent on harassing workers late at night, like after 9 is already too late, 9:30, 10, saying, "Hey, are you interested in the union?" Who? Knocking on their doors, wearing their uniform, because we were purple, they were red. I mean, thug shit, you know? So
Crips versus Blood, or well, I don't know if I can do that.
okay, no, no, okay, now
Kidding.
you're gonna love this. Which you So I don't know if you have friends of Bill or Lois, but you seem to be like 12 step interested or at least like open, right? So which I love because it really
Oh
helped
yeah,
me.
I've had my brush with the well with those folks in fiction and reality and all that stuff. Yeah,
All,
no, it's a
all,
great organization. I have nothing bad to say about it,
and I haven't
and
been to
fuck
meetings with
anybody who would ever say anything bad about it because if it's working for somebody, leave them alone. Leave them alone.
Amen. Although I can't go to the meetings in San Jose because they make you go to the front of the thing. I hate
Oh,
that.
do
In
they?
Texas, it was so easy. It was just a round table, chill. So one day maybe again, but they have those speaker tapes. And this is going to be so cool, Michael. There's an NA speaker, right? And he's like a military dude, right? And he talks about all his crazy stories. And then he goes, "Yeah, the Crips, yo, community revolution in progress." And I was like, okay, Scott Bennett, Army PSYOP on X, God rest his soul, right? He passed away just a year ago. Okay, we got coffee one time. This is
Hmm.
back in the Susan Lindauer days. This would have been like again 2012ish. Okay, and he told me I heard this on a talk show. I said I just want to confirm what you said, Scott. You said that when you were coming out of prison, Brad Birkenfeld, Edward Snowden. This is that connection. Brad Birkenfeld, Edward Snowden. Okay, Brad Birkenfeld was like a Treasury whistleblower or something like that. Okay, and he knew Ed Snowden, so they're all in like prison,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Trading notes.
Right.
And so when Scott Bennett was coming out, they put him in a halfway house, and he said in the halfway house, a guy in a suit shows up, essentially a spook CIA recruiter. And to these prisoners that are just on the cusp of finally reintegrating to society, the
Right.
CIA recruiter says, "You guys are actually the smart criminals," something like that. And if you really want to do right, you'll work for us because the system screwed you. And the real revolution is with us.
Right.
So they're
Right.
recruiting. And so David Guyot, Deep Black Lies, that's the guy that some book and it's the website is still up or whatever. But when that happened, I was like, dude, this is a sick, sick game, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway, no.
it's funny. It's funny because there are many different organizational structures to serve different purposes, right? So, like on paper, this is my rhetoric or shtick around unions. On paper, it sounds really good, right? And there are people that say it's too old-fashioned or whatever. Like, it still has a place in any era, really. But the problem is, for me, is that if you, as the organization that my dues go to, decide that you as an organization are going to vote for XYZ, which is the fucking problem in my mind, I don't want any part of it because you undermine, and that's that schism that has happened. And Chris Simmons, he is right about one thing. Donald Trump is an expert at looking at a map of people and finding the lines of division and then exploiting them. That's not good or bad. That's just an observation. Whether you agree with it or not, it has merit for sure. You know, how much merit? Sure, we can debate that or whatever. But he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
It's
But
within the realm of statecraft.
right. Exactly, right. So with unions, like I would have no problem being a part of a union. You know, my dad was, I saw everything that was given to me was because he was in a union. I mean, all the things, and he had 9 kids, you know. So my way of life would not have been what it was. You know, I didn't grow up fucking poor. I also didn't grow up rich either. You know, we certainly had our troubles or whatever, but I had a very good household. You know, I had a very good, as good as it could be, right? Everybody likes to come up after they're done and old and whatever and like fuck mom and dad or whatever. You know, they have everybody has problems, right? But unions are great on paper, but at the same time, where I'm at in my career in technology, it doesn't work like that at all. If you accumulate enough experience and skill in a certain realm of technology, you can dictate how how much you're paid, what you'll do, what you won't do, or whatever. So this is very much on my own as an individual. I have that right to do that, and I do. I do it all the time. Well, if I don't like something, I'll punch out. I'll hit the eject button. Fuck you guys, I'm out. Or hey, I love you guys, but I can't go on. Whatever. I'll punch out and I'll do the other thing too. There's some more things that are tied to that are personal to me, but they're just as they are to anybody else. But there's also co-ops. You know, there's nonprofits. There's these other vehicles of organization structure, and like a co-op, you're a member. You own it. You own it. Raleigh owns it. Uh, the dude that comes in every Tuesday, maybe he's not as frequent. He owns it, whatever. But there's different structures or there's a committee structure or whatever, which is quintessentially American, really. Like we want to pretend that we're all individual, and it was like that, people said no and they put their foot down. No, they organized and they came together with a loose confederation of ideas, and then and America was born. And they also had a lot of patience too. A lot of people don't remember that the revolution didn't happen in 1 year or 2 years. That shit was like 30, 40, 50 years of buildup until the people of the time were like, okay, listen, we've tried to petition the king. We tried to do this. We tried to do that. And you guys are putting us you're putting us in a corner to like where we have to react and so on and so forth. The history happens, whatever. But anyway, it's just cool. It's just cool. All
Well,
of the shit is cool.
no. You had some great talking points there. You always set me up very nicely. Never to fail, which I'm grateful for. So
Oh, it
yeah.
didn't do it. The reaction thing didn't do it. Whatever. I gotta
Oh,
fix that.
it's like the one time, the one
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
Oh, okay,
fuck
okay,
you. Fuck it.
fine.
I only get a one. Whatever,
Don't
you
get
fucking
that.
computer, you piece of shit.
So wait, okay, which one is that? That's not Restream. That's not Stream.io, right? Which one is that again? The reaction software?
Oh, that's just native to Mac. I'm on Mac, so that's all native to Mac. So
I
like you
have a
gotta
Mac.
like what's that?
I'm on a Mac.
So right now in your menu bar, there's a little green icon with a camera symbol. If you click on that, you're gonna see whatever your camera feed
That's
output
what.
is.
Okay.
There's like four different options. There's studio, there's portrait, that's all lighting and blurring and whatever. And then there's reactions. If that is highlighted orange or whatever your fucking color is, as long as it's active, if you do this or you do that or you do the whatever to trigger, it'll do it.
Okay.
And
All right.
actually, that was
Good.
like a shtick to kind of get in attention on two-way. I used it a little bit to my advantage. I got Dan Turrentine to like get used to it like over time. Like he didn't acknowledge it every time, but every once in a while he was like, this is like early days when I did it more, but like
Funny.
he was like,
Nice.
oh, where's my, whatever. And I was like, oh shit, and then I would do it, or the heart thing, like what's he gonna do? Okay, there it goes.
Oh,
Fucking there it
very
goes.
good, dude.
But
That
it's
okay.
cool though too with the black and white because it'll show up as color and it really
Really
pop,
pops.
like that.
Really
Yeah, yeah.
pops. Oh,
Another communication. There are layers to this shit. It's not just the
oh,
sound of your voice and what you say.
visual, visual.
Communication, like I have a love of communication and all that. So that's why Bill Clinton is fascinating and Donald Trump is fascinating and even Barack Obama and even
Yeah.
Joe Biden. Like
Yeah.
credit where due, Joe Biden up to like when he was,
Well, his early days, there's some slick videos
he
where he's calling
he
out
he
them.
he probably in our modern era as it goes, he was probably one of the best brick and mortar, um shaking the hands, kissing the babies kind
Right.
of
Right. Textbook.
politician. He's
Textbook.
very 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 good at that. He's very good at he was I think one of the youngest people in Delaware's history to get elected as a senator. He was in his 20s, I think.
Well,
And
we'll use AI to resurrect him. That's the whole
wow. Yeah.
not the dark side of Black Mirror. Let's call it White Mirror. Our visions are White Mirror.
Yeah,
We want the
maybe.
best of people, right? And
Right.
okay, for the audience, let me work on this. The left, okay, the Fekete research, right? these lectures that I was blessed with. And the simple concept is like, you see where workers now are clamoring for more. But Fiketty says no, workers would get paid at the discount rate. So let's say the market wage is $10 an hour.
Right.
Workers' unions would choose to get paid in gold at a discount rate of 10%, for example. So they're going to get $9 in gold. Okay. So the,
Right.
the company's getting a discount. Gold's
Right.
going into a central fund, not workers walking around with gold coins, you silly
No, no,
jet
no.
ears that, give me that crap. No,
Long-term hold for the betterment of the organization. Right. I get it.
because why is gold only good for central banks, but it's not good for the worker, right? So we learned that the FDR was not the progressive era, but the regressive era, and Executive Order 6102. That's what I wanted to say to Representative Jen Hudson, right? Because she goes, "Well, I don't trust because gold, they can take it." I go, "Well, if they take your gold, then you better have those guns."
Um,
Because that's the time to, I mean, it's like,
well,
it's, sorry.
that's called full civil rights in my world. Full civil rights mean that you accept the entire Bill of Rights. You don't put any caveats or any of this bullshit on them. And I feel like my view is backed up by reality and the last 15 years. I could go on and on the Second Amendment, but so if you ever hear me say full civil rights, it means not the first, not just the first, the second, all of them, fully. Now, that doesn't mean you have to use all of them. I hope you do, but if you don't, that's fine too, you know. But the thing is, if you're a citizen, America is the only place in the world that has our unique set of rights and privileges and all that other bullshit. No other nation on earth even comes fucking close. Maybe France, maybe. But France is fucked up because they fall apart every other generation and then they redo their constitution. But that's a whole other ball of wax. But the French are close, but they don't quite hit the mark. And they also suck because they're European and they're up their own ass, whatever. But that's a whole other side conversation. But sorry, I interrupted you, but go on.
No, no, no. And that touches to, I think what you said yesterday with Raleigh is like there were these, that's where the true radical, you go, wow, there are these kind of gold standards. And the USA Constitution is one of them. The Bill of Rights is another, you know. And as much as like whatever other fundamentals I was trying to get Raleigh to understand, like the iron furnace and steel. Like steel is like it's not just like, oh, it's again the three pigs, right? You want the house out of hay, whatever. Like, no, steel. Okay. I guess that was hay, bricks, and wood, but like
Whatever,
steel.
right? Same thing, right?
you know. And
Stability and security, right? I get it.
but so I just want to hammer it for the YouTube viewers, kind of like I'll be keep hammering it, I guess, because the big reveal was gold is a mutual fund, that becomes health, welfare, and pension, no more chronic unemployment, no more labor shortages, right? You've taken unions out of politics altogether because now the community is that, again, that gold fund.
Well, because all they'll give a shit about is making their gold Okay, back up. Just back up just a little bit. Take a few steps away. Every corporation in America that is on the stock market, there's two types. There is the one that is a long-term classical do right by its workers. The CEO is getting paid millions, but not hundreds of tens of thousands, this crazy, ridiculous thing. And they're always chasing to have more growth, endless growth, whatever. That's the opposite end of it, where you had the classic corporation where you could, that was the times of our dad and our fathers and their fathers and da da da, da, so on and so forth. You would come in and you would work in your local area at the Merck Marine. Like if you were born in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, okay, Merck Marine, your uncle, your aunt or whatever, you came up and you would eventually work there and you would work there for the rest of your life, pretty much. And you would actually have something to show for it. You would have your house. By the time you're 40, you would have your RV or your boat or your leisure craft or your leisure whatever, and you would probably also have another property. Those times are gone. I
Yeah.
mean, they
Yeah.
they they don't exist anymore. And like I was saying before, I'm sure it's true for you too, in Raleigh as well, maybe in your own way. When I came up in my career, it was, if you're in tech, do not stick around more than 3 years, maybe if that. because one, you're not going to get a raise. You're going to, unless the company is really, and that's the other thing too. There used to be good corporations, good companies, or whatever. But anyway, this whole thing, collapsing it back to what your point is, if you had a system like what you're talking about, the politics wouldn't matter. You wouldn't give a shit if you had to think because you would have real wealth that
True
had
equity,
that
Chris
that,
Simmons, the
that
true E.
right that actually had there are other companies that are really good if you can find them that are ESOP, employee stock option, blah blah blah, blah employee
Right,
stock option, whatever.
right,
Like
right,
where
right.
you are an owner of the company.
You're
Now,
seeing a return, yeah.
whatever. You're fractional, but that means your daily work. It means that you perk up and you give a shit because what you
Yeah,
do
rather than the
today.
current system where the more you show that you know, then the more they dump on you.
Right, but nowadays you're not treated as an owner of the system. You're treated as a resource of the system. And I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. This is not original or whatever, This is this is all throughout history or whatever. Like where if you
I'm
actually
listening,
have
by the way.
ownership of
I'm
the
listening.
thing,
I'm listening. I'm just gonna go on mute for a
you
second.
oh, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I'll just yammer on for a couple more moments. But if you're an owner of the company, guess what you're going to do when you roll into the parking lot every day at 8 o'clock or whatever the time starting time is? If you see trash in the parking lot, you're going to pick it up if you're an owner because you care.
Right.
That's the problem. The problem is that like it's not just about what you pay me for my wage. That's one thing. There has to be something else. There has to be a higher purpose for that money. Whether it used to be your pension or your retirement or whatever, all of that shit for us, for you and me and Raleigh, that's all gone.
Right,
That
right.
doesn't exist anymore unless you're lucky out of college or wherever the fuck you come in whatever your front door is when you're younger, you come into that organization and you be a part of it. That still exists out there, but not like it should. Not like it should. It should be something. Give me some. That's why startups are so successful, right? So, or they're so appealing rather, not successful because most of them burn out. But
Right.
if you come
Right.
in and you are in California is a different fucking world, right? So you or me, if we had gotten a job 10 years ago, maybe five, as little as 5 years ago, up to 15, 20 years ago, if you come into a young Google or a young Facebook or a young Meta or whatever it is, well, they don't pay you. You get a fat fucking wage to show up every day. Don't get me wrong. Um, commiserate with whatever your area is that you live and work. You have the perks, you have the free food, the free lunches, the perks out the ass to keep you in the office because happy workers on campus
Yeah.
make happy products for our user base or
Which
whatever.
I'm sorry, Chris Simmons, I get triggered here, but it's a modern day slavery. I got to tell you, to hear my cousins and people talk about, oh, the food cafe. I mean, this is what their job perk is. Oh, they
Well,
serve chicken curry
well, we're way beyond that, and really, it's no
while they're
different than
censoring Americans. I'm really triggered about this because I want to apologize to all Americans that were censored by any H-1B visas. Okay, I mean that's just it's foreigners censoring Americans is what happened. All right, so I'm sorry about that.
oh yeah, it is what it is. But
I know. I
but
just
but but the whole point is of what you're driving at with the gold thing is that the union would actually have power is one thing. And sometimes you can get away with having power without having resources, but if you don't have money, if you don't have investment, if you don't have value, long-term value for not just one person, but many people, people are going to stick around. And that naturally breeds loyalty, you know. And you can do that. But the problem with politics is like just like any other time in history, it's not new. There is nothing new under the sun. That is true. That is Solomon said that, and it's very true. Nothing new under the sun. We will see these cycles repeat over and over and over again. Matrix, as you call it, whatever. But it's the same thing. So I'm intrigued. I at first I was like, what? what is he talking about with gold? And I was curious, and I'm glad that you expanded upon that. And you know, because that is a valid, legitimate way um to create insurance, for lack of a better word, of purpose for the long term, right? Like
Yeah,
long
it's
term value. Like everybody in America at this point, if we had a good, healthy economy, would be like my dad or the girl that I dated 20 years ago when I was, whatever, whose dad worked for, this company for 40 years, but he actually had something to show for it. Like, unfortunately, it is what it is. And then we got to this, I'm not going to get into the whole man woman thing, but whatever. But like my grandma's not very smart. And she always called out, like, it's not that she doesn't like women or hate women or whatever. She's from a different time. But there is something fucked up when the whole point of society as a unit, the most powerful unit of our society is firstly the individual, but above the individual, it's the family unit. Okay. I'm not talking like fundamentalist 90s Christian, but if you don't have a family unit, and it's like now it's not just like dad working traditionally or whatever. Now mom has to work too, and then you have kids. Well, I got news for you. A car payment now, it used to be half a car payment or a fraction of a car or a third of a car payment for childcare. I know this because I know I paid $1,000 a month or 700, whatever it was, for childcare. Baby
dude.
jail
I
is what
got
I
three
called it.
more. I got three more. Wait. Let me know.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I don't want to. I don't. Wait. Hold on. I gotta check the calendar. I got it.
Anyway,
May,
I'll rest. I'll rest. I'll retire and
June,
and give it back to you. Sorry, I've been yammering forever.
July. Four more payments, dude.
What happens in 4 payments?
That's it. My child support ends. I hope it's supposed to
Are
be
you
8.
serious, dude?
It turns
Congratulations, bro. Hey, man, I love that for you. I love that. I have my own my child support. I'm not I'm in arrears, and I've always been in arrears, but not like crazy arrears.
Dude,
But
Michael, I have a story about that too, man. There
oh
was
my
a
God, dude.
meme
Well,
on my.
yeah, I might tuck in some because we're live or what. I might tuck in some
Yeah.
details,
I know.
but
So with
I
respect,
really don't care. I mean, it's not going to hurt me. I mean,
you're the first I could even relate to because I'll have single or buddies that are married try to talk to me about it, and I go, bro, you don't know. You don't like you have no idea what it's like.
well, there's a whole and to be clear, it's a grievance, and maybe if I had a healthier attitude or whatever, I would have. But at this point, at this point, my kids are old enough to like where, you know what? Take me to court. Take me to court. What are you going to do? The only thing that you can take from me at this point is time. And I fought my ass off. And this pisses me off. This is the biggest grievance that I have against Elon Musk as a human being, is the father thing. You have 14 kids or whatever, good for you. But you are a dad to none of them. You're a dad to none. And
Is
I
that
find that
true? Is that he's not like in there, he's not
no,
involved or
no,
whatever?
no, no, let me pull back. I'm not saying that he doesn't spend time with his kids. I'm just saying that if you have 5 to 8 different baby mamas, okay, and I'll put this before I say it pass any more judgment on him. Okay, he's a billionaire. He can do whatever the fuck he wants, right? So he can follow his Xenu, Scientology. I'm making fun here. I'm being very pejorative and negative on Elon
Oh
Musk. So
man,
if you don't
it's
like me, fine. I don't really give a fuck. Okay. I'm joking. I'm joking that he's Xenu, and because the whole point of Scientology is that um way back in the ether of time, there were spirit gods that eventually rose up, and they were on one planet.
this
I'm
is
really
breaking for me. Is he
but
Scientologist or is his
no,
her
no,
wife?
no, no. No, he is not Scientology. I'm just using Scientology as a
Okay, okay.
backdrop of like, showing. But anyway, the point is that he's got 5 to 8 or whatever, how many baby mamas he's got or whatever. Okay, nobody's gonna want for money or hunger or whatever, but there's I get pissed off about Elon because he came over to the right and he says all the words of the thing of family and value and society and stuff. And it's like, and I understand he's on an entirely different plane from even a multimillionaire, right? A multimillionaire is like fucking nothing to him. So I don't discount that. I mean, I get it. I get it. He can do whatever he wants, but my gripe against him is you claim to do all these things for the betterment of mankind, but in your own personal life, you're kind of a piece of shit, in my opinion. You father all these children only for your vanity. And there's nothing per se wrong with that. That's what he does because his lineage is secured, right? But my problem is that his behavior and morality is only reinforcing and perpetuating single parenthood. Okay. So
Oh, that was my
I have
gripe
a
with
big
Murphy Brown, right? The
I
whole
have a
Murphy
big
Brown.
problem with that attitude in general. So while that's my rhetoric is that he is father of many, but he is a dad to none. I don't care if he spends every other weekend with the third set of children or whatever. That's not being a dad. Okay? Being a dad, being a dad means that you're there every single fucking day. For good or for worse, divorced, married, whatever. Every single day, except for like one or two that I can count on my hand, I was not there to pick up my kids from school. You know what I mean? This is where it gets very personal with me. So I don't deny that, but I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm going on a
No, no, no.
rant here. Being a
Yeah.
dad, the only thing that I will absolutely reserve judgment for as a father, as a dad, is the I reserve the right to judge any fucking parent in my mind, in my view, who's a piece of shit. Okay. So I'm sure Elon is a very loving father when he has time with his kids, but he will never be a dad. He will never be. It's the same kind of thing as the concept. Have you ever heard of this? Like, there's a difference between white people and white folk. There's a difference between black people and black folk. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's that difference between people of like, okay, you're part of the thing, but you're not really there. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the whole
You actually
thing.
this is a big problem in the South Asian. So on my my outburst, 40-minute debut on YouTube when I hadn't done anything for years, right? It was like there was one moment where I was like, do Indian people really think kids love spelling bees? You
Right.
know, because the stress growing up. And okay, that prayer ceremony, I actually love it. I'm gonna start doing it again for my mom, right, with the fire and everything, because they're just beautiful
What
script.
what's the, what's the tradition, the background?
Uh,
What's
uh,
the religion? What fill the gaps.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah.
want, you don't have to, but you can
No,
if
no,
you
no, no, totally. Thank you for the opening there. So there's probably like maybe three or four typical, let's say, Hindu categories of
want. Okay,
worship.
right on.
Okay,
Right on.
okay, one would be going to temple where I took, friend of Bill, Matt L. No, I'll just say Matt Levine. No, no,
Yeah,
Matt L. No, 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 M. Levine.
yeah.
He doesn't care. I'm sure he'll love to hear
Maybe
his.
you're talking about me. Nobody
Yeah,
knows.
yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right. I took him to temple. He was like, "This is wild." And that particular temple in McAllen had the idols, which, again, Arya Samaj. I'm not theoretically. I was violating my, one tradition, but again, whatever. That's one way of going. Okay, with the idols and walking around the idols, and each one some king of this and that. Okay. Then there is that CHiLLiN we mentioned, which I believe is an iron furnace. And now Hindus are doing what people in the Old Testament did, right? Where they're just worshiping a facsimile of something
Hmm.
and they've totally forgotten the origin, right? And then there is Havan or Homa, okay, which is common to both Persians and Indian Hindus, the sacred fire.
Okay,
And so
right, right.
that is where,
Eternal fire, right?
yeah, exactly the eternal fire,
Whether
which
it's inside or it's outside, or yeah, I get it, right? Right.
yeah, and unfortunately in California, we actually replaced our real fireplaces, wood fireplaces, with gas. At least we didn't go electric, but still, it's like, like we should like my mom is obsessed with like, why did you leave the lights on? And I'm like, mummy, we're technically never supposed to put the fire out. But so in
Yeah.
that worship, Oh man, where was I going with it? Where was I going with the worship? To start doing it again. We were talking about Elon and the kid.
Shibboleth and facsimile of what it should be, but it isn't. Da, da, da.
Yeah. No, no. I started out with you're talking about my son and the kids and like what to do with them. Oh man.
Oh, and you were saying that you were like a few payments away from your child support, and so I celebrate that anyway. But before we were sort of talking. Sorry, I got you off track, but yeah,
No, 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 about the fatherhood and being there and like I mean, oh my God, it unlocks so many things just fighting to be in that position. But
right, right. It is
um
a fight. It is a fight.
yeah. No,
Shouldn't
but
be a fight, but unfortunately, to American family courts, and I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into it, but it's adversarial. It should not be adversarial. You know, um, if you don't pay child support, you know what happens. I don't have to tell you, but for the audience that doesn't know, if you're in arrears, meaning that you have debt that you are carrying for child support, typically, deadbeat dad or all these things, whatever. It used to be back in the day. It used to be they would yank your license. In really fucked up situations, they would put you in jail. You know, thankfully, mostly those are all gone for the most part. They still happen, but they're for the most part that's gone. But there's a new form of economic terrorism that they do. Okay, we all have these things called credit records. Okay, if you owe $1 to the state and it's not paid, obviously that's symbolic. It's to be more than $1. They it goes to collections like any other debt. So the state that you're in that is collecting on your child support will hit your credit report every single fucking time. Okay. Now, so instead of yanking your license back in the day and calling you a deadbeat or whatever, for the true, there were absolute shitbags that were men that didn't do that, or sometimes they split. You can't serve me if you can't find me. That kind of attitude. I get dirtbag behavior, whatever. But if you owe money every single month, Experian, uh, what's the other one?
yeah,
Fuck, all
credit.
the
Oh my God,
Experian, the other
Tram or
three, the other
something.
two, yeah, TransUnion, and then there's another E one, Equifax is what the other one is.
There you go.
If you don't pay up and be current, your credit will suffer. That's just how it is. Now, certainly that's fair in certain cons. It is what it is. But so if you take me again, if you take me, it doesn't matter if you're $2,000 in debt or $20,000 in debt. You know what I mean? It still always builds, and it just never stops. So what men used to do, and what they still do, is like, fuck it. You know what? If I'm going to be down and out, and I can only ever get a job for so long, I'm going to keep hopping. You know, and there will be no stability for any of this stuff. And then baby mama can be like, you're not supposed to by law, but they do it anyway. I knew a guy who he was in a little bit more prehistoric times than me, but he got wrapped up bad, and he was never married with the mama or whatever, and he just got down and out. And he's like, he tried to help out here or there, and he was like, look, I was a tow truck driver, I was kind of a mechanic, I could have pursued that path if I wanted to, but every fucking time I would get up there, then the garnishment would happen, and the garnishment would come, and garnishments are brutal, right? Now, the fun fact is some guys lean into it hard, and they don't care if they fuck five baby mamas or eight or 10. They don't care because the court system does have a fairness limit at some point to like where if you have seven kids
They
and
cap you out.
five different baby mamas, the state legally can only collect so much of your fucking wages. So
Oh,
what do they fucking care? Because
yeah.
by the time they pump out the 10th kid, they're only going to be getting pennies on the dollar for whatever the child support would be worth a damn anyway. And it doesn't help the mom, it doesn't help the kid, it doesn't help the dad, but they exploit that loophole. Like, so there are guys out there that do that. There's a whole underside to this fatherhood thing. And I, you know what? I cannot blame anybody who's younger that decides that says, you know what? I can't make a living wage.
Right.
I
Right.
can't find a woman that's worth a damn, or otherwise. If it wasn't a man, if I'm a woman, I can't find a man worth a damn. And then you're going to tell me that I have to be out for the woman. It's more of a burden and cost than it is to the man. Man can be pump and dump and leave at any time. That's not how we're programmed biologically, to be clear. But you can't blame any of these young kids or the younger generation that says, you know what, whether you can make fun of their excuse for not having kids, but you know what, at the end of the day, it comes back to economics. And what maybe they say it's climate change or whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't pay to have kids, So no wonder younger kids aren't seeking the opposite sex or whatever their thing is, to follow again. That goes back to the family unit, like that is detrimental beyond the economics and all that. And that's a whole other thing. Young men have dropped out of the workforce entirely. I don't need to tell you this. I know you've heard this. I know. I don't know you. I know we're still strangers, but I know you've heard, that there are millions of young men that cannot find value or worth or whatever, so they drop out. And maybe they're supported by disability payments or their mom or their dad or whatever. They have enough to kind of keep going on for whatever but why would you blame them for dropping out or being a part of a larger society when you make it so hard for them? And it's hard for young women too. I'm not saying a little bit different. That's not my perspective. I'm coming in on a male perspective. I don't have any. It is what it is, That's why I hope my kids get the fuck out of the United States and
You
go
want them
to
to see the world.
just go into the world, go into the world. I don't care. Go into the world. Maybe you meet somebody, maybe you don't. Get out of America. Go see the
Michael,
world.
okay.
Now, as long as I can and I'm able to, I I make money. All right. I'm not going to boast. I'm not if anything, the most boast you'll ever get from me is the money that I make is above average. But that comes from a war footing that I will always have with me. Back in the day, like when the Depression generation, and they would save every fucking Gerber jar and glass jar, and they would reuse everything. You know, that was part of that mechanism. Well, it's no different, nowadays. Like the difference between me and them is that like, okay, I see their mom has certain things. I'm not going to get into it. She has certain things that are there that are latent that at some point I feel like the floor will drop. And if the floor ever drops, I am pressed. I have to make as much money as two people do. But that's not enough. I have to make more than that. What did I find out? I found my way. I found my way, not permanent, but temporarily, I can inflate my ability to earn income. It takes time and it doesn't always work out great, but that's the mode that I'm in. I feel like I have to maintain this constant readiness at a certain level of income. And it's not about having a Beamer or Mercedes or whatever. It is entirely on when the fall happens, and it probably won't happen, but if it does, we will be fine, Now, I'm going from that mindset to what am I going to do in 20, 25 years, which Raleigh and I have kind of talked about here and there. But I really need to do, God, I need to come out of this mindset and kind of slow down a little bit. Plus, I'm not as young as I was, but I have to do what I got to do. But if I can, I will do what I can, and my kids will never be no no. If my ex took me to court to punish me or whatever, I would be like, you're full of shit. Like, okay, so what if it's over here on this column, I'm a loser or whatever. I don't care. What I care about is the real world. Can I take my kids can I facilitate what they need on my time? I can, Now, there's a lot into that because you have personalities involved and maybe the ex is a bitch or maybe I'm a
Dude, do
bastard or
you
whatever
know
you want to
what your kids
call.
want for dinner when you pick them up from school or whatever? Do you know what they want, or do you
Yes,
have
I
to like?
do. I've always been there for my children and I
I was
credit
I was
that.
saying it for the audience, but like
Yeah.
Michael knows, like he is a
And
man that knows because
and
he's
and
been.
and to be clear, I fought hard. And at the end of the day, I had to just kind of let go and like give it up. And because my kids, like at one point, my schedule with my kids was 60-40 essentially. I'm not going to go into the breakdown, but that's what it was. I wasn't happy with that. They weren't happy with that. Now, when they're young and dumb, they don't know any better. They just know that that's Monday, Tuesday, Monday through Sunday or whatever, here or there, whatever. I will not fault their mom. Their mom is a wonderful mom. I have no grievance with her as far as like the basics, food, water, you know, she's a good mom. Unfortunately, there's just not respect. And men thrive on and we adapt to respect. If we don't get it, we'll go to war. We'll go to war. Um, uh, uh, um, what is the term like when you go to war and it's not necessarily we'll just go to war. We'll burn everything. We'll fuck you. We'll go to war. Now, most men will go to war over money, because that's a man thing or whatever. I don't care about that. I don't care. I can make more money. But this is all around the rim of the thing of my kids will always have what they I had to fight for 50-50. Okay. And eventually I got it because, I was only missing 2 days in the rotation for being 50-50 for a 2 week block of parenting time. I know you know how scheduling works and all that, but I had to fight hard to get to 50-50 or whatever, And eventually she saw because the kids would, for years, they would come to me, Dad, why can't we have more time with you?
Oh, wow.
Why can't we have more? And the only thing as a rational emotionally level and said, well, you try not to cast blame on the
Right,
other parent
right,
because
right, exactly.
because the kids are 50% of mom and 50% of dad.
Yeah,
So
oh, that was in the
if
book
you
that the
if you
therapist.
start calling mom
Right,
a whore or a bitch or a slut, you're insulting your kids, and that is not the way to do it.
right, right,
That is
right.
not the way to do it. But anyway, it gets harder for a woman to justify why the schedule was put in place. And the whole point of a parenting plan between two parents who can't make it in marriage is to be flexible. It's supposed to be evergreen. It's supposed to be adaptable. Most people don't have this problem, to be clear. Most people are rational and they can come to terms with this thing. But anyway, well, I'll retire this after I make this point. But she had to explain to the kids why they didn't have equal time with me. And it gets very hard, and that's not using kids as a weapon. That's not what this is. This is just I'm sorry, you're gonna have to talk to your mom, That it's the most neutral, powerful statement there is no power play that you can do out of that situation because anything outside of that is manipulation and when you go down the path with children of manipulation, you invite alienation into the mix. And that
Well,
is you want to have your daughter be a stripper, you want to have your son be a fucking addict on the street or whatever. That's how you get there. That's how you get there because you undermine the emotional bonds that are a family. Anyway, the whole point is eventually I got 50-50 and it is what it is. And we're to the point like my kids are they're still ways away, but you know, um I've made commitments and I've
you will
six
honor those commitments.
well I will not I don't have raw ambition, right? So I'm not like one of these guys like my ambition ends at like where my comfort goes, right? So like I'm good like I'll put the work in to rise on the ladder or earn what I got to earn, according to what I can do at the time for what I need to do. So if my kid wants to go to college, my parents couldn't do that. And I'm good. If I die at the age of 55, but my kid, I was able somehow to even fund a significant fraction of their whatever, I'll be fine with that. I'll be fine with that. Now, I hope that doesn't happen, obviously, but um,
Well,
this
the blessing
yeah.
I wanna give to you, Michael, is like there, but for the grace of God go we, you know? We could have been in that Elon world with like the, oh my God, baby mama. I mean, I just one is enough to deal with. You know?
Right.
And I think about my union days if I hadn't left, right? It just so for me, it's like it's a bizarre thing because my son was all unexpected and all that, right? And it tore me from it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. I get it.
But I don't even want to, I don't know, that sounded so cheesy, a blessing upon you. But the other thing you touched upon was Galt's Gulch again, like McAllen being a central point. I believe the Western Hemisphere, like Patagonia, Argentina, shout out to Malay or whatever, but there's actually my namesake, Raul, if you drop the H on my Facebook, he was when I was attempting my master's, that he was a Venezuelan guy. I think there was another guy. It was cool. It was a cool group of dudes, is what I'm saying. And
Right.
I really think like we have an untapped Western Hemisphere just waiting to be explored. And anyways, you just, that's a whole fun
Oh,
bit.
I think I have the same feeling. I have a unique love. I've never been there, but um I had this fascination with South America. I one day I don't know that I'll ever live there. I have no idea what will happen in the future, but I will visit Chile. I love that.
Yeah, to
I
check in with
love
our
that.
coding team, right? That you're project managing or whatever.
I love Chile, and I love a bucket list place that I will see before I die. Is Patagonia, the edge of the world.
Just the
I
name, just the first time you hear that Patagonia, right? You're
it
like,
just well, the edge of the world does it for me, right? Like I love that. That is my romanticized, one of many things I'm sure, that we all, but I have a fascination with that. I have other plans too, and who knows what'll be what, but but I find myself like realizing, hey dummy, you're at the zenith of your uh,
you still got your
income,
health and your arm,
whatever.
your
I am making more than enough money at this stage to where it would be foolish for me to not take one eye and let Latifah James because she's got fucking lazy eyes. Like, well, I have one eye to the. I'm making fun here, so I'll whatever. I undermine my point by being pejorative
no, no,
about
no, no.
it,
Let me
but
add the there we go.
but like you have the eyes going this way. But anyway, joking aside, I have one eye in the future, and it would be a waste of blessings from God above to not parlay that into my next field of whatever. So I've known for a long time, I don't want to be doing tech and security forever and a day. So eventually, I'm still working it out or whatever. I have, I don't necessarily call it a plan, but I have a general idea maybe or concepts of like
Would
where.
you be like the CTO of our drivers cooperative?
Well,
Would that
I don't know that I'll ever be an owner of a company or whatever, but like, if that comes up, I'm gonna be looking out for it, obviously, because like, with tech skills, I will eventually go into healthcare. Eventually, I got to do my first couple years because like I don't have a college degree, right? I have a lot of college credits here and there and whatever, blah blah blah, but it doesn't mean that I can't, like use it to my advantage. So in the immediate term, the next 5 years. Well, I can go back to school and get a bachelor's
you get in
in
tech through the army?
cybersecurity. What's that?
Was it through the army you got in tech or after the army?
No, it was before. Okay, so actually, it was because of before the army, I was always technically inclined. Um, so like I always pulled apart, telephones and
Oh, you were
VCRs
geeking
and
out. You were nerding out.
well, when
Okay.
I was a kid, like I took those things apart. I played with the magnets or whatever, and then a little bit later on, I remember we got
Okay.
a proto early version of a base Commodore, whatever it was. I learned to program in BASIC, whatever. I wasn't very good, but from that, I realized like I had a relationship with machines, so to speak, like where I could go, and of course, like many people of our age, generation, my dad got a computer. He went back to school. The internet came, da 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 da, whatever. I would look up when I was young. I would go in his office and he showed me on purpose. He showed me like Yahoo, right? Remember Yahoo
Yeah,
and
of
the
course.
homepage? And if you clicked on the link, it would be a different, it would not be purple, it would be blue, so that you clicked on it. So my dad showed me, he's like, look, I can see, he was making a point. He was like, you can use this, but know that I can go back and see what you're looking at, whatever.
The browser
Now,
history and all that.
now here's what probably made me a computer guru of today. So I would go, not necessarily porn or things like that, but I would get a rabbit hole down the early days of the internet, very slow, whatever it was. It was boobies or whatever it was. But I learned it was a Packard Bell, whatever. I can't remember the exact thing. If I thought about it, I'd probably come up with it. But I learned that if you and he got really pissed and he never got onto it, but he was going back to school in those days, so he would have his homework or his work, his documents or whatever saved locally on the computer, and he learned to save it on his hard on a floppy, whatever, on a 3x5, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
He learned to save it because what would happen would be I would get down a rabbit hole on the internet in my alone time at
yeah.
home, and I learned they didn't secure the installation disk for Windows. So what would happen would
But
be
you
what I would go down a rabbit hole and I didn't know how to clear the memory. So I would go through the process of reinstalling everything fresh. And after a while, like I don't think my dad knew because I never told anybody anything. They never knew because you're a kid, you don't want to get in trouble, right? But eventually he learned, oh, I should save my work or my document on a floppy because this goddamn computer is so new. He couldn't put two and two together, or maybe he did. I don't know. I'd never had a conversation with him about this, but I would go down a rabbit hole and then I would reinstall Windows all over again.
yeah.
And I got so good at it that eventually it turned into an interest. And then I learned about Linux. And then it was a fucking off to the race. It was because of
Wow.
Linux that I am where I'm at now. Um, but that was like a little bit later on. So I've always been tech inclined.
You're like a command prompt guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. I you um
Have you done any of the FFmpeg? I posted on Varshney Tech. I think also on the 860
like
left.
like converting from one convert I've done everything and I have
Okay, okay,
lived
okay.
in the
Well,
terminal for 25 plus years.
here's
I'm
my
very
challenge.
comfortable in the terminal for yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's FFmpeg. Okay, I've gotten close because my thing is anyone can download a YouTube video, whatever, right? But to get the captions in it, so you can actually download the
Oh
caption
right,
and then
right.
FFmpeg or one of those will overlay the captions
Oh
too.
right.
So
Yeah, I know
I'm
what you're
hoping
talking
to
about. Yeah,
custom
yeah.
that.
Yeah. But
And
anyway, I don't know what my point was, but this is about fatherhood and all this
yeah,
stuff. Like
man,
so
real men,
so
real men.
so now if you are in a situation to where you have certain rights but you don't have full rights and you're in conflict with with whatever, okay, fine. You know what? I'm at my breaking point.
Right.
You at this point I'm at one mode. You, you I'm at one point now. Not a breaking point. This is the end. This is the end of the line, meaning that you will capitulate and rectify all the things that you know for a fact that was wrong, and you will restore to me the respect that I am as their father, or there's nothing. And if there's nothing, fine. It doesn't mean that I shut off, you know, everything. It just means that I stick to my guns and then I do this in increments or whatever. I don't care. At this stage, they're fully grown. You know, I the only thing I'm waiting is 18 or whatever. And I don't care. I don't care about I legitimately don't care about child support. My child support is 1150 1100 $1,150 every month.
For both total.
For both. Yeah. And like when one kid rolls off, it'll leak whatever. And I don't have a problem paying that money. I don't care about money. I don't care about money. I care about what is due for me. legally. And unfortunately, it's a fucked up. It is what it is, whatever. And unfortunately, so now, like unfortunately for me, my money that I could make didn't come until after the fact. But I realized like I went from 55K at one place to 70K. This is all that I'm ever going to disclose to anybody ever. But I remember when I was at the 55K job, I remember talking to an attorney and saying, "Well, what happens if I make this much or whatever?" And he goes, "Well, then you'll make that much money, but you'll owe
You'll
more
die much
or whatever."
more.
Well, Missouri State has a formula. Most states have a formula
Okay.
between mom and dad, and the whole point, and it's basically to maintain the same level of
Standard of living
continuity.
between households.
Yeah, when you were married, it's to maintain that same continuity through time for the kids. Now it's supposed to change it, whatever, but um, as it goes. But at the same time, yes, I have money, but I don't have money, right? So I can make money. That's not a problem. It's concentrating that money enough to go to XYZ goal or whatever, which it is what it is. But at this point, I don't care. Take me to court. What is the court going to say? Pay up? No, I won't pay up. I'll tell you what I will do. I'll tell you what. You can take all those bills and you can put them on the back end, just like you have done for years with the child support, and I'll eventually pay it. I'm not going to pay you a fucking dime today. Not going to
Yeah.
happen. And that is a me problem. That is a me problem. And eventually I'll evolve past it, or I'll just make enough money and I'll just fucking pay it off and I'll just whatever. But it's not really a big deal. It's just more of a pain in the ass. And the fact that like I've had to move around the system that we live in for credit for this or that. It's not denied me. The fun fact, if you make enough money, anybody will welcome you into their business. You know, it, it's not going to be the BMW dealership and a fat lease for it's going to look different, but um, there go I. I will find a way. I always have found a way. So I guess kind of rolling this back into a bigger point, I guess, with the economy and the tariffs, and I don't care. Crash it. I don't care. What it makes no difference to me. Even if I have to go back to the IT equivalent of a janitor and unclogging a toilet, okay, maybe I'm not making. I'm just making it up. Maybe
You
I'm
know,
not making 150 an hour, and I don't. But maybe I'm not making 150 hour, but if I make 50 an hour, then I can make it, or 40 hour, whatever. You figure it out, you adapt, you grow, you learn, you change, you whatever. If you want it, you'll find it. Anyway, I don't have a point, but sorry for sucking
no,
up
no,
the
no.
oxygen there,
I
dude.
love it, man. I love it. And it's just like but the last thing you said triggered me about the whole 401k. It's like it's all blood money anyways. When I quit the union, I ended up burning a bunch. And I mean, yes, I was frivolous and shit, but it's like that was blood money, you know? Like it, oh my God. One day we'll properly unpack it. But like,
It,
of course, we don't wish suffering or anything on anyone, but there's this like, ah, how can I say it? How can I say it? Like, first of all, options traders trade off volatility. Okay, I know
right,
that 'cause of my dad. I know that because I plugged that Diamond Dave guy, who I think is hilarious. He doesn't have his YouTube page in his X profile. I'm like, dude, help
right.
me out, bro. Because it's like sometimes it's hard to find people. Raleigh goes, people think it's hard to find. I go, it is hard to find people, Raleigh. He goes, well, I can find them. I go, because you're a nerd. That's why, Raleigh. So, anyways, one, options traders love this. Two, again, the blood money thing. I mean, dude, if all these companies have been in on all these problems we've had, I mean, I'm sorry to say, like, okay, again, the Elon Musk paradox. Why would pension funds be based off an unproven lithium battery polluting technology whose driving software is so unethical that it confuses a white semi van for a cloud, and then the car plows into it, right? And so,
I've heard
but
this
they
before.
tied the
Yeah, yeah.
pensions to that, right? So it goes back again to the fundamentals. And I do have to, for the YouTube audience out there, one 10 years from now, Daniel De Leon is who wrecked the trade union model. If you return to the trade union craft model, then Uber and Lyft would naturally be drivers cooperatives. There'd be no insurance gap. The insurance would be the cooperative, would be the union. Oh, and looping way back, because we talked about how should these organizations be run. The time I did Lyft or Uber, whatever, what I always felt, Michael, is what do I get for bringing you into the fold? And if I bring you into the fold, shouldn't I be incentivized to say, hey, Michael's a great driver. I'm going to make sure he's a good driver, right? By
Right.
helping him out with the routes, what I know about the neighborhoods, the areas, so that we come up as a team. But none of it that is there. There's
Right.
shit support with Uber and Lyft. We know the whole scandals, you know. There's
Well,
even
they're artificially mandated to about 2028 or 2030, 2032, whatever it is. They're mandated to use EVs. And what's going to happen in the next 5, 10 years? The rental market as we know it, Enterprise, Avis, Budget, all of them, they've already been um, super concentrated because of the normal flow of things like after a while, so and so gobbles up so and so, the mergers and acquisitions, which Chris Simmons could speak to this a lot more, but um, I only have personal experience through one merger and acquisition, which is fucking crazy, which is way more in depth, by the way, than any cybersecurity or government. If you fuck up and the government comes through and like checks your ass for like whatever you did wrong or fuck up that you did, a merger and acquisition is more brutal because they want every fucking serial number on every fucking chair and every fucking conference room. And I'm not kidding. I'm not fucking kidding. And if you don't produce that to the acquiring partner, they'll use it as grounds to go to the lower amount that they said that they initially offered, maybe, or the fallback option to like buy your shit up cheaper because you fucked up and you didn't have your shit. Anyway, I don't have a point, but yeah, you make good points about lithium, and I've never heard that before, but I've heard around it, like EVs and all that. But anyway,
when the
I love it.
fire
I
day.
love it. I'm learning and growing. God bless you, Ardizzle. God bless you, Raul.
Sorry, man. Are we burning the? I know it's late over there in Missouri, right?
I'm fine, dude. Like I'm good. Like it's only 11. It's only 11:25 here, so it's like 9:25 there, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's good, dude. It's good. Well, I never told anybody this, but for a long fucking time, I worked for a startup that was on the West Coast, and my boss was on the West Coast, so I got used to that thing. So it's like Sunday night coming in, it was like natural for me to do a podcast or whatever on Sunday because I would
Nice.
be up anyway. But if it were like 2 or 1,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
not
yeah.
even there yet, so we're good. We're good. We're good. So, unless you're getting tired, and that's fine, we can
No,
retire
no, no,
too.
no, no, no.
But
I just wanted to whatever.
no, I appreciate you being conscientious. So thank you.
I nerd out for a second. You know what's funny? Of all the features on Zoom, you think we okay, so captions output, like when we share a screen, you could turn on captions, they output to YouTube, but these titles don't.
Oh, my title. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's where there's like a whole other
I looked at
adjacent
yeah.
company to Zoom that does like all the fucking bullshit that Halperin and all them guys do or whatever. Now I use Ecamm and I'm still learning. But I have like one of these days we'll have to playground it, and then we'll have to like bring in me and maybe as the host or something, and then do the
Okay,
Ecamm
okay,
thing,
here we
and
go.
then we
This
can
this will
do.
this will perk me up a little bit. Okay, I got to get the fire
Or if
going.
you want, I can come up with like a basic ass profile thing or whatever. I just don't know how to do it with the Zoom because I haven't explored that world too much because but anyway, it is what it is. But
This
I
perked me up again. No, it's funny because oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
well, the only thing I was gonna say is because I'm a nerd, engineer, whatever, tech, whatever you want to call it. I will fuck with shit, right? Like it can't never be
Oh yeah,
perfect enough. I gotta fuck with it, and then it'll be fine for a while, and then like and constantly fuck it because if I fuck with it, it means I learn. And of
exactly.
course, you don't learn from your wins, you learn from your failures. And but you get old enough in tech or whatever, and you realize, you know what? I didn't learn anything from this. I hate this. I don't want to do it. Fucking punt it. But not that I'm not saying I'm not at that level, but I was for my it didn't matter. But anyway, yeah. But there's much we can learn. And I think the best thing about you, me, and Raleigh is that we are nerds and the whole core of our world for what we do to make money means it leans on our ability to learn. And then not just learn, but incorporate that to be proficient enough to do whatever we do, whatever. And even if it's not directly related, it will be tomorrow or 6 months or a year or whatever, because you're like, oh yeah, I got seat time in that. I know how to do that. Anyway,
The recursive algorithm.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah.
That's CT his song on X. This is one of the I had these crazy roommates and my whole story in tech. It's anyways. I was blessed there, and this guy's like a former college football player or whatever. And one of his sayings, right? Like as long as the outcome is income, like we're doing these things, slowly building these
I like
residuals.
that. Yeah.
And and I tried to blow Raleigh away with this. Like the first step of the recursive algorithm is you have to have faith in the recursive algorithm. So like, oh, again, not to get too emo, right? But like on the fatherhood connection, Mark Halpern's a father. Because I was trying to say to Raleigh, right? Like,
He's
oh,
a he's a he's a late breaking father. He's a unique father that has the world before him. And this is not
are
a
his kids are
diss.
his kids that young? I'm not.
His
I
kid is
wonder.
8 or 9. His kid is very young.
Oh,
And that dude is 60. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that's his first kid. I don't know for sure. I haven't like
married or divorced?
maybe they are. I don't have no idea. But I
Okay, I'm
know
sorry.
that I know
We
that
just talk
he
about these people as if like,
well, I don't know, but like from what I understand is like he's 60. He turned 60 this year or whatever, whenever his birthday was, or last year, whatever it was. I remember the stream. You can't help but get to know these details.
yeah, 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 every
Yeah.
day, man.
Because then that sucks you in even more because like, oh my God, you think that Mark Halperin is just down the street. You know,
Right.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, we've already said, but he's got a kid. He's got young kid. I love that. He's got the wisdom of 60 years on this earth
But he
and the
can learn from
wealth.
us, though, uniquely.
You know.
We actually have more years as parents. I've been schooling my like older brother, right? Like people I grew up with that are older
Oh
than
yeah, absolutely. It comes up.
they had kids later, right? So then
Right.
I've been like, well, this is because we learned from trial and error ourselves, right? We did all the wrong things,
I I think the perfect time to have a kid is in your late 20s.
Oh, absolutely.
I think, and that's how it worked out for me. It's not like I planned this. I didn't plan none of this. Like I did like anybody else did. Any other cold, hot-blooded American. I met a girl. We fit. We had
It
her
wasn't
ups,
my
we had her
place to my
downs.
place, like my situation.
No, it was a little bit more traditional than that. It was a funny story, and not really a story. I met her at a job, right?
Oh, of
And
course.
And she
Classic.
was cool as fuck because like she had like, but she was always hanging out with this other dude that was her friend, and he was bigger and fatter, and I was younger and skinnier, so we became friends, and I was friends with her guy friend. I met her in training for a job, and I actually had the hots for another girl, and I would talk to her when we would hang out about this other girl and like how I was trying to pursue her. Not blatantly, but like just as friends, just as like meet a girl, you're just friends or whatever. Now, at the same time, my family was making fun of me and they're like, "Oh, oh, oh, I think you got a
Uh-oh.
girlfriend. You got a
Uh-oh.
girlfriend." And I was like, "No, we're not dating. We're not that."
Yeah.
And then you come to the head with the girl that you're is your friend and she catches feelings and you catch feelings and maybe you make out a little bit, maybe you do the
Yeah.
you do the human thing,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then eventually, it becomes a thing and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
whatever. Boy meets girl, we get together, whatever, blah blah blah. So no, mine wasn't quite like that, but my brother's was, but he's a little bit younger than me. But his shit has worked out because he's actually ended up being the more stable, and he's not a fuck up. He's got his own slings and arrows and is as a human himself, but like he has more stability, even in his unpredictableness that everybody else casts on him. But he's there. You know what? Every single time he needs to be there for his kid, whether called for or not, Guess who shows up? Dad. Dad. That's the most important part, of the whole equation. So this is why I have such a harsh opinion on Elon. And we haven't even touched on the whole SpaceX, Mars thing, sci-fi, my
And I was really going at it with Raleigh because I was like, Raleigh, you got to work with me here, dude. Critical thinking skills, dude. Like you, because it's funny. I mean, accusing me of being all over the place, and then I'm like, I just judge Judy it, right? Like, it's funny. Like you said about Trump. Let's not do the 5D chess. Let's do the 1D chess. Get the dick out of the woman's locker room, and like fear of the Lord, right? The wisdom flows from there. So it's like a guy should fear the Lord if he's going into a woman's locker room, Like I'm not supposed to be here. I'm gonna get beat the fuck. So from there, if then a lot of common sense flows. Anyways, with Raleigh, I was like, okay, so you believe in physics of shooting a bullet, you're a hunter, Raleigh, right? You've shot, he's like, yeah, yeah, okay. And then we know if you shoot a bullet high enough, he goes into orbit. He goes, yeah, I believe that satellites. Okay. So then what, Raleigh? Like there's pictures of Saturn and Pluto, and then he was kind of jumping around. So then I was like, okay, Apollo 11, no. Okay, then Apollo 10, like where, like let's start. Then I said, you know what?
oh,
Forget
like
rock,
moon landing being real or fake or whatever.
all that classic stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the boots, the imprints. And I said, well, let's grok it or whatever. And then sure enough, like they say that they had special coverings on the boot. All that aside, he showed me the guy not wanting to take the oath on the Bible. I'm like, why would you? Some stranger comes up to you and like, I'll give you 5,000 to take an oath on a Bible. Like, get the hell out of here! You're some decorated astronaut. You're supposed to bow to the to the mob. All that aside, I'm into balloon travel. The NASA documentaries on the balloon travel is so poetic. It's so beautiful. It's so economical. Like, whatever, let's move the conversation forward. Maybe it was all fake. Let's figure out how to do it now. And then Raleigh said, well, why can't we get back to the moon? I said, you know why? Because they added wokeism as a variable. They added fuel economy as a variable. There's a guy on YouTube that actually reached out to NASA and said, dude, you're missing all these factors and trying to get to the moon because they owe that whole big government monstrosity.
Well, that's backed up by the military industrial complex. They have spillover. NASA has tons of military contracts that are in their benefit and the corporation's benefit or whatever. That's why you had Boeing eating a lot of shit for they couldn't even get up there and
Microwave bacon, the greatest invention since sliced bread.
what is it now?
Microwave bacon.
Oh God, dude. Oh my God. God bless America. I love my bacon.
That look, my ex gets credit there because I used to burn the kitchen down trying to get and now and then I knock bacon out of
Oh,
the
I
box.
hated that smell. I hate the smell. Even if you do it in the oven, right? Like a smart person. Like that's for all
Right.
the people out
Exactly.
there. If you want good bacon, it's in your oven. And it doesn't take all that long. Maybe
Right.
350, 370, whatever
Right.
it is for you. It
Right.
10 minutes, a
Right.
bunch of bacon on a baking sheet. Yeah, you're
Exactly.
good. You're good. And you
Exactly.
don't have to fight with the whole when you cook
Sizzling and the
bacon
splatter.
on, yeah, when you cook bacon on a skillet, the smell is obnoxious.
Yeah. Yeah.
The smell's obnoxious. It hangs around. It's like smoke. It's like a smoker, right? It's like it hangs on
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for a veg, like my mom, and then like where the Alzheimer's kicks, like, what is all that? you know
Yeah.
and but okay, I would do the oven method, right? But then even in spite of that, I mean, that was worth it, I guess, but it was just a lot labor intensive. So that now and then I would try the skillet method. Nothing worse than put, your son's come down, you scramble the eggs like he likes it, he's
Hmm.
got the toast, and you slap down the bacon, and then it was too soft or it was too burned.
Oh, right, right. Or was
But
it?
with the
No, right,
microwave
right.
bacon, it's like boom, 1 minute, and it's exactly perfect. And then I can give a second serving, a third serving,
Right, right.
And because especially with my parents, I've had to learn how to cut out every single step possible. I just mastered doing the semi-cooked scrambled eggs.
Mm.
So because I again, he likes it, they like him how they like him, you know? And he likes his scrambled eggs a certain way. So finally, this time I was like, oh, wait, let me make a big batch. I'll semi do it, like almost 2/3 of the way there. And then now It was awesome. It was like I didn't have to warm up the pan.
Mm.
I scooped it out of the fridge in the bowl, right? 1 minute with a little butter. And so it cooked it. And as it's heating, it's giving it that final cook. And it was like bam. And then the
Boom.
bacon's and then my mom, they yelled at me because I got an extra microwave for like we have a side room. And they're like, what another microwave? But what happens is you'll get into that situation where it's like you got two things that you got to nuke at the same time. This
Right.
is really
Well,
privileged.
well, as a modern parent, as a modern caretaker, time is money. And it's
Yes.
not even that. It's that you only have time to do this, to do that, to do. You got to find where you. This is where you learn to be a servant, to serve service before self, right? That whole thing. Oh, I was gonna say, on Elon and space, right? So, okay, I'm gonna poke a lot of holes in a lot of nerds, science, sci-fi, Mars fantasies with fucking Elon Musk. Okay. Okay, Elon Musk has famously said that he will go to Mars and he will die on Mars, right? Whatever. That's his penultimate goal of life. Where maybe he'll get there, maybe he won't. But okay,
As
so
a
you
father, how can you say that, first of all?
so you spend all this time. Well, it kind of makes sense from to be fair and to be his advocate a little bit is okay. I understand why he's having so many kids. I get it. Get it. I've read a shit ton of science fiction novels. I get it. I know what you're
Oh,
doing.
he's going to
You're
repopulate the
well,
universe or
you're not
something?
necessarily repopulating. It's just an ego trip of his lineage, right? So if baby mama one and two, God forbid, and I don't wish this on anyone. Baby mama one and two go out and the kids do too, or they're maimed or
Go out.
whatever, and they can't live for shit with a
Yeah.
normal life, you know. They have that thing there where they okay, so anyway, fast forward. Okay, so you go to Mars. Okay, bring your full imagination. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Okay, do you know what your life will be like on Mars if you leave Earth? Do you know what you'll be living in on Mars if you get there? And you're the first ever. You know, do you know what life will be like on Mars if you go there first?
Oh my God. I mean, if you're the pioneers, then you're wearing those space suits all the time,
Right.
right?
Spacesuits all the time, right? What else? What else? What else? You can't go out
Dust.
naked, right?
No. Yeah.
So you're always going to be in a structure. Okay. Essentially, I'm oversimplifying this, but it's true. You're going to go from living on Earth, blue skies, oxygen, go wherever you want, no restrictions. You're going to go to Mars. You're going to spend all this money and effort. And I get it. I get it. Eventually, his grand plan is to have more than that, right? But the very first people who live on Mars, you know what you're going to be living in? You know, when you die and they bag your body up, they zip you up in a plastic bag. You're going to be living in a plastic bag. You're going to be breathing in a plastic bag. You're going to be seeing the sun or the stars in a plastic bag. And I'm very disappointed in Elon Musk because, and I think on the back end, I think he's smart enough to know this, but he can't say it. Um, Space travel and humanity's extension into space, our domain, which we should rule because we were given domain of the earth, whatever. We own space. We own space. We can go there and do this or whatever. You need nuclear powered space flight for any of this bullshit to mean any fucking thing because humans were not God did not create us to live in zero G whatever. There's all kinds of
Look
negative
what just
health.
happened to the recent astronaut. She lost so much weight.
If
Burnout.
you cannot live 10 years in space, okay? You will fucking die because your bones and shit will become so brittle if you don't get ate up by radiation. Okay, and you can have a radiation shield that we have. Our this is why I'm so disappointed in America and where we're at with space. Okay, we quintessentially have The mechanism for us to base all of our space-based planning and exploration is essentially no different than when we were on the oceans and we were sail powered. We were victim to the winds. Okay, that's just a fact. The same thing is true with because we use passive. We use I'm not s- I'm not shitting on any of this, right? Because you got to get somewhere, right? You got to get somewhere. But the differentiator between it's not Elon Musk's plan. Elon Musk's plan is bullshit. To mine or Mars and extract the. You're an idiot. You're a fucking retard. You are a retard, and I'm so disappointed into you because you know better. The power of mankind. I am a humanist 100% from the standpoint of mankind, men and women and whatever, everything in between. We own all of this. This is waiting for us to take, not for us to like rape and pillage and whatever. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that when you get to space, it's a different game. Okay. We already have all the aspects there for long term, whatever. And to be clear with you, the next 20 to 50 to 75 years of space exploration is not going to be manned. It's going to be drone.
Right.
It's going to be whatever. Sorry, I'm
Exactly, exactly. Why would we risk human life for something that
well,
can be done so
and we
fast?
can risk human life, but we also have to put up serious things, okay? The United States plutonium 239 or whatever, which is what we use because it is a perfect thing that we need because the power that it gives off, the
The
half-life,
density ratio.
yeah, the half-life of it is decades. It's not months, it's decades. So, Voyager, the RTG, the thing like where it uses thermal energy and it converts it to whatever. That's primitive. That's not an active nuclear reactor powering. Here's the point I'm making is you cannot conquer any of space with this old technology of Lagrange points and gravity assist and the sailboat mentality of things. You have to have active propulsion in space, meaning because we are victim to
You're saying to fight the gravity cycles or to be able to
the cycles of Earth,
the
and when we're
orbits.
close, we're either 9 months or 18 months from the
Yeah.
thing. So
Very
we're not going to start a fucking trip. We got to wait until we're in the alignment, and then we can launch the thing, and then we can do all the higher math and eventually get there and gravity boost. What? Fuck that. That's not going to cut it. We don't need that. In my opinion, we are so far behind the eight ball of that whole fucking thing. I don't give a shit about Russia. I don't care about China. I don't care about any of this. And I will say this, this is a personal thing. Anybody that's part of the Green Party, I will denounce and I will attack until the end of time.
Oh, you mean
The
because of the
Green Party and
solar wind? Okay.
well, the Green Party is anti-science. They're anti-space exploration. Their mentality is like, no, 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 no. You take care of things on Earth first, and then we can talk about that. If a Green Party member in the United States political system got into power, we would be devastated. That is why everyone must fight AOC and the Green New Deal and all this other bull. I don't care. Whatever your background is, Marxist, anti, whatever. I don't care. Doesn't matter. We only live because the fact that we went to space in the 60s, people don't understand this. Like they don't understand the transistor and all this other technology that we got up into space. That came from from us solving very complex problems and then being able to bring them back and then reinvest them into what anyway. My point is that we nuclear powered space flight is needed today, not tomorrow, today. Anyway, you get the point. You get the jumping off points even if you don't get all my points. You
I
get the
like it. I like it.
so that is why I'm anti Elon of like fuck you cocksucker. One, you're fucking up so bad on this thing, and then you're doing the SpaceX. What is it? I know why he's doing it because he figured he has to turn his attention. He can't just do what he wants. because the Democrats and they offended him and they didn't give him all they had. All the Demo if the Democrats could have won the last election, all they had to do was pull back 5% from where they were at. All they had to do was just say, the trans this, the trans that, the this that. All they had to do was pull back five
Yeah.
percent and say, we're trying to figure out how to accommodate this group of people with everybody else without too much chaos. And they never they refuse to do that. They say if you're whatever, you go on
Can
from
I
there.
call something out about that since you
Yeah, sure,
brought it
go
up?
ahead. Yeah.
Perfect segue. I know this from, okay, so my Cuban buddy, right? Leo Kevin Cavazos, he's on X too. I mean, he's many years sober. He used to do X, but no, okay, that's a joke. That's just too easy of a joke. But no, he's on Twitter now, X, whatever.
Right.
Um, we were in the line for the DMV once. I was helping him get his license again when he was getting things in order, and a tranny walked in.
Hmm.
And there's a long ass line, and here we are sitting there waiting, right? This tranny didn't give a fucking shit, right? It's because there's a whole king queen dynamic.
Hmm.
In in theory, if we were to put on lip, we're becoming the queen, right? We're becoming submissive in theory.
Right.
But the tranny can just break fucking roll, walk straight up to the front of the line and go, "Am I supposed to be here?" Da, 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 da. And she got her answer, she, he, whatever the F it was, and got out.
Right.
And I think we waited like 30 minutes and then we found out we were in the wrong effing line. Because isn't that how the DMV works, right? You're always in the wrong building. Oh, no,
Right.
this is that building. That, and I'm like, damn, we
Well,
should.
and it's magnified because you need it now, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
never,
that
never,
whole.
never convenient in your favor, right? I get it. Yeah.
And so I was just like, dude, this whole thing. And like anyone that's dealt with, like, if they will drop their voice in a heartbeat to get what they need. Right. So I'm going to pretend to be a woman, but the moment I need something, I'm going to then,
Oh,
you
then
know,
I'm a man. Right. Right.
so about the Democratic Party, like this is actually a terror. Like they're terrorized, right? And then on the other hand, it's that other element I showed, so-called Ikhwan. Okay, in the veil, I mean, now I'm triggered again, I guess, right? But let's keep in mind Shazia Hobbs, who was an atheist, self-described. I don't know how I haven't kept up with her. She's like, I should say Shazia Didi. We say Didi like Didi, but that means sister in Hindi,
Hmm.
right? So it's how you say elder, like. So I would say Shazia Didi, right? Because we actually did communicate for a while. So she was who Tommy Robinson interviewed,
Okay.
right?
All
Kind
right.
of kind of the real Tommy Robinson, if you'll hear me out. Okay. So Shazia Hobbs, this journalist, she had grown up. Her mom was the British. Her dad was Pakistani. Her mom was the second wife. He already had another and maybe a third, I
Hmm.
can't remember. And Labor Party, she said, would visit her dad all the time because he was the vote bank. He had the votes. So how could this Labor Liberal Party be visiting this open polygamist? You know? And she was, I mean, it was the way her perspective, it was so fascinating. And then she pointed this out, okay, because this is what I've really railed against, right? The core, going back to Hashim Al Madani, I think I got lost in all that. The Muslim Brotherhood interview and the thing about the brother of the founder of the so-called Muslim Brotherhood, Ikhwan, saying the veil is nonsense. It's a nonsense. It's basically the swastika. It's basically the KKK hood. It's a way of saying this is us.
Hmm.
This is the pure, and you are the impure. And on an aside, Michael, that's why I kind of have a bone to pick with Ben Shapiro because I'm like, Ben, what message are you sending with the young?
Hmm.
It's like, dude, you're again distinguishing. We're not in that space now, and I don't think he
Right.
used to wear it back then at UCLA, if I remember correctly. Coincidentally, I had a friend who's known as a cutsert. He used to have the turban,
Hmm.
and he got rid of it post college because he's like, dude, what is this? And then his
Yeah.
brother followed suit. He actually found a photo of his father without it. Like his
Hmm.
father had cut it, got rid of it, and then had regrown it because that's my beef with. I was challenging Chris about, oh, do you believe in diversity of language? Because my parents are suffering because of this. Oh, I mean, look, I'm all about learn 2, 3 languages. That's all great, right? But to have parents where again, this is that weird ABCD. You're in high school, you're like coming of age. Oh, we're all speaking English. This is great. We can understand. Okay, I learn a little Hindi here and there, but whatever. English, parents playing bridge, part of their community members, their community or whatever. And then now they go into that Hindi shell and they can't speak English well anymore, you know? And I'm just like, no. And so oh my God, I lost the thread. We were talking about Elon and freaking
Fatherhood and space and shit. Nukes, Democrats, everything in between. Yeah.
um you know, I don't know. I don't
All good. All good.
I guess like that was dang it. I'll see it on the replay. Like three. Oh, with Hashim, the veil, the veil, the veil, the veil, the veil. Shazia Hobbs. This is what she said. Yeah. Here's the peaceful moment. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. Okay. Is let's have an intellectual discussion about this. Okay. 1 billion Muslims, 2 out of 3, according to Shazia Hobbs, has hadith. We're not talking the Quran that, okay, this was one of Trump's, I thought, advisors in the first time I had read. Lebanese Christian Gabriel Sama. Okay, the Quran
There it is.
misinterpreted, mistranslated, misread.
Right.
Okay, he links 99% of the Quran to the Old Testament and New Testament. It's basically a cliff notes of the Bible. Okay, in that lens, it becomes very insightful because now you go, oh, this is how Abraham, or you get these certain, right? There's always like another angle. The story's retold however many different ways, and then we can debate within the Quran because again, you can say there's 2 or 3 versions, whatever. Just
Right.
like any Bible, any language, right? You get down to the dot. Oh, does the dot mean this or does it mean that? Is it singular? Is it plural? Whatever.
Sounds very Jewish.
Okay, and the same thing goes on with the Hindu, all the circles, right? But hadith is a whole nother ball of wax. Hadith is 200, 300 years after Muhammad. It's such and such heard from such and such, said to
Right.
so and so. And look, from an intellectual perspective, why not? 1001 Arabian Nights, fascinating. A lot of racist passages, actually, but whatever. We can read it, study it. Maybe there's hidden histories in there. No
Right.
problem with that. I'm sure that Hadith has.
Well, any sufficient person of mental acuity can put that aside and still read and get the message from the thing. But
Yeah. But when people are justifying stoning and saying, "Oh, it's not the Quran, but it's actually Hadith," and then we get into, okay, what is the veil about? Like MEK, inside Iran, and again, this fake show. It's virtue. It's the original virtue signal. And so I hate that I saw it on the Zoom support ticket. You know what I mean? And
mm,
and whatever. That was a long loop around, you know. But as fathers, we're gonna stand up for like what we believe in. So
right, right. Yeah, you're talking about Raleigh and having a difference of opinion or whatever. I've learned over time to like, let people do what they want to do, you know, and if we're talking about it, I don't have to get head to head with you on any of this, like Dan Olivio. And this also comes from the like if your fight or flight thing is triggered to a certain degree, like Dan Olivio, he immediately glommed on the fact, and he wasn't wrong. He's 9 against 1 or whatever, and 5 against 1 or whatever. It's like, dude, just put that off to the side. Fuck, man, I'll be your advocate. Okay, I can listen if you understand objectivity and argument and debate and all that stuff. You can easily you may not believe it or whatever, but you can advocate for that person or whatever. It doesn't mean that I truly believe that. That's not the point. And if somebody wants to call you a fake ass bitch, Tupac, uh, are you still down? Um, fucking album. That's playing a role. That's being a role. Like lawyers do it all the time. You don't gotta believe heart and soul of your clients, whatever. You just have to be their advocate, whatever. I don't mind being that for Dan Olivio, even though we got into it on Twitter. He blocked me on Twitter.
whoa,
Like,
whoa, whoa! I didn't know you had a backstory there.
oh yeah, dude. He insulted Dan Turrentine and I got pissy with him. I goes like, fuck you for I can't remember the thing he blocked me on. I didn't even think he knew that I was that guy on X,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah, because of
I
the
can play that role, but I can also come back and say, listen, man, if you want to make a point and you want to stand your ground in this group of people, and I didn't care for Professor K's, he was a little bit too hot on the mic. He was a little bit too hot on the thing.
yeah, yeah.
And I kind of naturally assume that people are going to do what I do, which is, okay, if we're talking about a discussion or whatever, I don't need to make all my points 1000% in your fucking face to like where you just want to walk away or whatever. I don't have to do that. But that's just with all the things. So if if Elon or Joe Rogan or you or Raleigh or Chris, and you're like you say something like really truly provocative, like I don't think we actually landed on the moon. Okay, well, let's go with that. Okay, why do you think that? That
You
at
know,
the
in
end of the
Matrix
conversation.
1.0, I used to get triggered, right? That's the funny thing.
Well, and yeah, you can tell you know your way around people or whatever because you know how to like you don't focus if somebody says something fucked up or whatever, you don't gotta hop on it all the time. You know what I mean? Like you let it go and whatever. So if you want to have that kind of debate, that's fine. We can have that. We can have a knockdown, drag out, blood sport kind of thing, whatever. But it's not always about dominance or winning, the thing. Like sometimes it's just a conversation. Again, this kind of comes back to a conversation is good. Like whether it's interesting or not is.
Well, and this is what's okay, okay. Oh my God, dude, the religious experience. That's what I think. I got it's like finally now remembering, like, because with Raleigh, that's what I was gonna go live with. Because I got zonked out earlier, and then it hit me. I was thinking about Mark Halperin. I'm like, if I could, one day we will, God willing, we'll get to. Mark will join our show. Raleigh believes it's never gonna happen. He's like, no. He's like, they're welterweights, they're heavyweights. I go, Raleigh, we're the only real motherfuckers around. Okay, that's what it is. And so if Mark joins us, it's like I just want to say to him, like, Mark, dude, I'm okay, you're my elder or what. I don't want to say it like that, but
Right,
it's,
right.
dude, I respect you like a kind of like an older brother. At the same time, my kid's older, so I have certain experiences there.
Right, or an uncle or whatever. Yeah, I get it. I
Yeah, yeah,
get it.
however we want to frame it, right? But it's like, dude, we're both Americans. We're both fathers. You know what I mean? Like we have way more in common, like we're no longer in this because I can in the media world, he's blown away by A-listers, and so we're just some other guys. But it's like, no, dude, we're your Musks, dude. You got
I,
2, 3.
I think that's where he's eventually going to, but I think that he understands very well that to build a business and whatever you have to have, you can't build a temple or you can't build a pyramid or whatever and stand on the top all at once in one go. You just can't. And we're not even in year one. Okay, two-way was around long before any of this stuff happened. The
Really? Do you
catch
know? I
was,
want to ask him the origins. Do you know like
well, I don't know the origins. I can just tell you from like just looking at objectively, just like looking at the YouTube history of the two-way channel. They had a black gal who was a host who did her show. Um
really?
oh yeah. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me
Yeah,
see.
I let you share. I gave you
Oh,
share.
oh shit, dude. Oh, okay. Well, not that I wanted to share or whatever, but I will
I should have mentioned it earlier.
oh, it's all good. It's all good. I'll share my I don't care. I don't give a shit. Oh, I gotta hit the double. I gotta double tap it. Okay. So you can see my thing here. Ignore that. Whatever. YouTube, whatever. And then you have
Is this the Edge browser?
yes. Yeah, yes. I use Edge. I
I
use
love it, dude.
you,
The Empire Strikes Back.
you know why I use Edge? Because they're the only modern software company or whatever that has vertical tabs. I don't want I will never go back to tabs.
Dude, I
Fuck
was that
that.
that was slowly hitting me. Oh my God. You might have a convert. I had a family
Maybe.
friend
I don't
that
know.
went from Apple to
Yeah.
Microsoft, and he was like, dude, things are way better at
It,
Microsoft.
it's funny. I use Mac, right? But but browser, Edge. Edge, because I can use it equally on Windows or Mac or my phone or whatever, and I know that the things are there. Anyway, two
I
way.
think you sold me.
I'll take you back. I'll take you back in time here. We'll do it two way, and then we'll go videos, and then you can do the oldest, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
1 year ago, two way, right? So he started doing these panel groups and like learning, right? Mark Halpern is really smart and he learns, and he was doing his like little media. I'm the reporter in the room, call me, da, 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 whatever. And then he got really smart with the whole panel thing, whatever. And he had all these things. And okay, this is the gal, right? Um, I can't Telzin, Figaro, whatever. She had her own show on two way for a long time. And I don't see, okay, so we're starting to see it here. She does her thing here. Um, and I guess she did a little thing with Lauren Leader, whatever, but there's a lot more. See, these are all the panel things that he did because he kind of split the difference between like Frank Luntz and other people, and he had a panel. He's a very good. He knows how to ask questions. Obviously, he knows how to. What was the Trump thing called? The weave, whatever, like where he goes in and out, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Mark
yeah.
Halperin has his own version of that, but with people. He knows how to set the thing, whatever. But that Tizen Figaro, she had her own show. And Lauren Leader had something for a long time, but it was like, geez, I'm not seeing all the things that I saw before. But see, they scrubbed a lot of the old videos because her tap in thing was like a regular thing. There was a lot more videos, and that they pruned this, and I can't prove it obviously, but
No, no, I
their
believe
shit
it.
was
I
a
mean,
lot
that's
deeper
the
than like
nature. Yeah.
1 year ago. Like they cultivated, they dropped her because nobody was showing up for nobody. I'll be honest with you. I don't show up for Megan
Yeah, I
McCain.
know.
I
I
don't
know.
listen. I like Megan McCain. Like we agree on most things, but like I'm just not gonna show up. I'm not gonna show up. Like I just not hate against her. I wish her the best, but like I'm just not interested. I'm showing up for this guy, Mark Halpern.
I mean,
But
okay, I'll throw it out there, Megan McCain. I mean, you can come on the show and explain about the
no,
CIA.
absolutely, yeah,
Well,
no.
but specifically the
And
CIA.
we'd be very lucky to have her, somebody of her caliber, show up. But
Well, the CIA. This is what I told Raleigh. The CIA was vetting moderate rebels. I mean, give me a break. You're gonna, we're gonna good Mujahideen from bad. Like, come on.
right, right,
Hillary Clinton, Al Qaeda was a good investment, right?
right. But you have all these things. Like there were videos here that I don't see that I saw before. Like when I haven't deep dived too much on this, but I've been on their page enough to know that they had way more videos than this. And then of course the election came, and it was opportunity strikes. Opportunity knocks on the door, you open it, obviously. But you
Oh,
know,
I got a like from her one time on Twitter. The Kamala, hold on, the second, what's the blondie in the middle between Mark and Dan? Second row, second.
oh, her, yeah, 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 yeah. She's awesome. Yeah, I like her. I like her. I like her a lot. Yeah, I like her. I like a lot of them. I don't really find anybody I don't like. The people that come on that are like, oh, and you notice here that there's no Tim Hogan, right? And I sorted this by popular. Tim Hogan is not in any of these. It's Dan
Yeah,
Turntine, and that was because Mark is smart because he knows he iterates, and Tim Hogan was doing something else with the whatever campaign, but like none of these people. This is all changed. They've all changed this to be a little bit more newer, and modern, and recent, and hide the early attempts or whatever. But like, well, it is what it is. But
okay, okay, okay. I should be taking my own notes here, but like with Dan Turrentine, right? The way I somehow, if I could do a show with Dan Turrentine, I know this sounds impossible, but a Hashim Al-Madani explaining the Ikwan thing, because the Proud Boys, Hashim, he did the interview with Gavin McGinnis, right? And so Gavin was making fun. What type of name is Hashim? That stupid Gavin shtick or whatever.
right,
Again, that part of YouTube I don't really like necessarily, but he's like, "Oh, you're a proud boy," and Hashi's, I was like, "Yeah, he donned it." And then even me, I remember I sent Hashim one time like a fucking Christmas thing, like, "Yeah, fellow proud," and it was that thing about like fuck yeah to the system. And then all of a sudden, I remember, okay, Che Guevara. This is in that all right world, right? Adam Green. I'm gonna just name drop because we got to, right? We
Oh yeah,
gotta go
if you
this
could
man.
hold it 1 second, I'll be right back. I gotta go get my
Perfect. I can grab my spritzer.
Sorry.
Oh, is my spritzer downstairs? Where's my spritzer? Going on deep on the diet sodas, man, probably not good for the teeth.
He could go all the way.
Dude, this is whatever, not cheap. Boylan Diet Black Cherry.
What brand is that?
Boylan?
All right, all right. Okay, a boutique soda or whatever, regional
Yeah, it was on
fucking
Walmart online. I Black Cherry is one of those flavors I've always
that's a
loved.
good yeah,
And
that's a good flavor. Yeah.
Ben Beekman, PhD, kind of had me do a and the Thomas DeLauer, right? Those health influencers, they're like, look, dude, if you're enjoying a diet soda as like a replacement for some worse binge, it's like okay or whatever, you
Well,
know.
I cut out I think I told this before, but like about 12 years ago or so, I cut out all sodas from my daily consumption. I went to, and I didn't know this at the time, but I was in the military. I had a brother that I looked up to, and he said, I only drink unsweet tea, water, beer, wine. That's it, or coffee, whatever, not to say that beer and wine don't have sugar in them, but they do. But I went to that model and I gave up soda, and it was like my early 30s. I can't remember, but yeah, it would have been like 31 or so. But I went to that model because my family has a history of diabetes. Like, I mean, if I continue to eat like I did back when I was whatever, my fucking gut would be, well, you probably can't see it, but my gut would be way out, and it is out now. I need to work on that, but, um,
Remember, I was pushing this in the morning meeting for a while, probably before we met.
oh yeah, yeah, Magic. I remember you, dude. I remember when you first came on. And you were like, my mom and my dad voted this way, that way. Da, da, da. I remember, like the more we've interacted, I'm like, I've seen him, and it was like, okay, I pull because I've watched a shit ton of fucking two-way. I know you have too, but we're dying the wool, right?
Dude, so this one actually, okay, this is I've become so we get Walmart delivery now. That was a big switch.
It's a game changer.
I used to be, I had these, again, this was that weird, even though I renounced Marxism a long time ago, I would have these things like my buddy was always using Instacart or whatever.
Right, right,
And
right, right.
um
Convenience, right?
yeah. Is it Instapass, whatever, one of those. And I go, dude,
Instacart is right. Yeah, yeah.
no, DoorDash. Sorry, they're all the same, whatever. DoorDash. And so I'd be like, Ashvin, I just don't think it's sustainable. Like, how can they be really making money? And then finally I realized, like, look, dude, they have their business model. The fucking drivers are making money. You know
Right,
what I mean? They're providing a service. No one's putting a gun to anyone's head. Take fucking advantage because it got so bad, Michael, that I was doing this. This is the Al-Anon side of things where you become out of control because you're trying to control the alcoholic.
right.
And so
Enabling. Yep, yep. Very familiar. Yep.
my mom gets sugar cravings, right? Because, dude, I please anyone out there, do not, if you're suffering, start eating meat and fermented foods. Do not do vegetarianism.
You
Okay.
you know you know a quick health tip if you are having those cravings, like whether they be sugar or you want something more after like a all veggie or really super healthy meal. Maybe it's bland, maybe you didn't whatever, and you don't want to fuck with like eating again. If you take a spoonful or whatever of coconut oil And
Oh, like the
all
Swiss.
you do is you just do a little bit of that and you let it set. Believe it or not, it will it'll bring that mental edge, that craving side down. You can laugh at me, but it works. It works.
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
do it too much. I don't really find myself in that position, but if I'm, it does work. So,
Hey, I'm glad you share that. And so my mom will get these sugar cravings, and then she'd be like, she wants Taco Bell.
yeah.
And
And then
then
it starts, right?
I
Yeah.
went through this phase where first I jump in the car, I drive again, and I was the hero for getting Taco Bell. And then I was like, do I want to be the hero for getting something like this? And so then I would start putting up these roadblocks. I get resentment. Finally, I'm like, let's just get DoorDash and just be done with it.
Right.
And so then the Walmart thing. So now I told Raleigh, I'm like, I'm only going out now once, twice a month. And it's like a big, like I try to get everything
Right.
then
Right.
load on. I don't know. So
Well, let me know, dude. I don't know if we can do it, but like I'll share my Sam's Club and Costco membership with you. I don't know how we would do it, but
no, no, no.
I
My
don't have a
parents have
problem with that.
Costco. It's all good.
Yeah, right on, right on, rock on.
Thank you.
Costco's great. Costco's great.
Thank you. They actually I do Costco has the delivery too.
Yeah, they do, they do. I used to go when I was down and out and I was not feeling all that great about life and divorce was horrible and didn't have my kids and all this. I love to go to Costco early on because in my fantasy world in my therapy session there, I you can literally in one sense if you had all the money in the world and you had a home that was empty, and this is a fantasy for me because I was yearning to own a home or to have a space with my kids, family, whatever. You can go around all of Costco and you can furnish a house top to bottom to be your home. And and that may sound very weird, but it always was comforting to me. Because of course that was looking toward the future and what we would have and what we'd buy. Because you can't buy everything, right? You can only buy you may want 250 things. Well, pick 30. And oh, by the way, the 30 things that you pick for your house, you're not going to get right away. It might take you 5 years to get the what, you know what I mean? You got to build, you got to build, you got to build, But anyway, always grateful, always try to always center back to gratitude and patience and knowing that suffering is always there. That this is I'm 51% Judaism and probably a good 49% Buddhism, Not so much the religious side of believing in the book, but the philosophical side of that encompasses it because if you distill it down, just if you distill Christianity down, Christianity is about grace and sacrifice for you to have grace. That's what it is. But if you boil down Buddhism, it's about suffering and how to deal with that or wrestle with that. And if you go to Israel, Israel in Hebrew means to wrestle with God, right? So it's about struggle, it's about wrestling, it's about finding your
You
way
remember
as you
that
can.
story with the angel wrestling with was it Moses? Who did he wrestle with?
I'm not sure. Like I'm not sure, but I think I know what you're talking about. But
Jacob. Because
go on,
okay,
go on.
before it was Israel, he was Jacob, right?
Sounds right. Yeah. So sounds along the line. Yeah. I don't know my thing backwards. I've read the Bible a few times over. I've read the Torah. It's Old Testament essentially, but minus a couple books. But yeah, yeah.
No, it's I mean, I have the notes, I can look it up or whatever, but there is a story about he wrestled with the Lord and that name, he goes, oh, he wrestled, right? And then in the Matrix, do you remember the before Neo meets the Oracle, he has to wrestle with that one guy that's like the Oracle's bodyguard or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, yeah. He's like taking them through the tutorial or whatever of like this is what it means, and you can actually do more things beyond your
No, no, no,
comprehension that you
that's
know.
Morpheus.
Yeah. Right.
I
Oh yeah,
mean when
you're right.
Neo
Yeah.
when
Morpheus.
Neo goes to meet the Oracle, then there's a guy
The
in like
first
a
time. Right. Right.
And he goes, "Oh, we must fight." And then Neo says, "Why?" He goes, "Oh, because until you fight, you cannot truly know someone," or whatever crap.
No, that's true. I mean, it's Hollywood, but it's true enough,
I didn't finish the plug on them. I'm so man, you know me. I'm so off. So the
Get
this
it.
flakes version on the Magic Spoon is only available at Whole Foods over here. This company sells the circles version, which is totally grain free, but my parents complain it sticks to the roof of their mouth. It's like, oh, bless you. I can't. You're muting to be polite. Um, and so the flakes, though, they only have 2 grams of sugar. They're not totally grain free, but the honey nut is great. This fruit one, I don't mind. I basically need to go to Whole Foods. Like I put it off every single day, and I need to buy 10 boxes of the stuff
Yeah.
just for my mom's sake. So,
No, I get it. Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Well, the other thing you learn when you're a parent is do not go to the grocery store hungry. Your well-laid plans will be destroyed because you get a bunch of shit that you were in the mood for, in the emotional now me part of you, than getting like, the staples that you need. I learned that. I had to learn that lesson a few times. I still learn that lesson, if I'm honest, but it's funny. But oh, I don't even
dude,
think I had anything to share.
well, just this background, that's what I find so interesting is like Mark went from a much harder format of having like a physical TV and that whole thing to like finally it was just like all Zoom, right?
Right, right. I was gonna well,
Oh. Plex?
oh yeah, yeah, for now. They're kind
Is
of
this a
bastards.
monthly? Is this a monthly fee?
No, it's still free. I can't remember. They restricted something, or it's gonna be restricted at some point, but
It's kind of like a Tubi or
I
whatever.
I I sub in and out. I remember when they had a lifetime subscription to whatever. I think I did it because I wanted to play. Anyway, I downloaded the movie that me and my uh Tom are gonna do on Monday tomorrow. We Terrifier, but these are all movies. Some of these I haven't covered, but anyway, I just was for conversation. I was just like changing the
Oh, I
tabs.
love it. No, I love it. I have a list of because when they play over the air, like on Comet, do you get over the air? Do you have an antenna?
No, I don't have that set up. No, I just do if I don't do a paid service, I just do. You know what's really good? Surprisingly, if you're okay with the privacy trade-offs, the Roku, any Roku TV or Roku device, they have like a live channel guide. I think they have the equivalent online too. I'll check here in a minute, but you can get all like it's like a lot. It's like a old school, like when you would click through the channel 15 or 24 or whatever. Well, I'll look it up. But anyway, same thing that you're talking about, Tubi or Pluto or whatever. It's pretty cool.
I got it. Okay, have you heard? So this is the paper clip hack. So just take a paper clip, unbend it, and put it in your TV's antenna port. You have like a normal TV or only the monitor?
No, real TV, like
Yeah, yeah.
Roku, like
It, it must have an antenna port, right?
okay. So let me back up. I have one, but I don't have any big screen TVs anymore. I only have one, and that was from my daughter's room that she donated so we could have like a living room TV for a little bit because she
Hey.
didn't want one in her room, and my son didn't want one in his room anyway. So like, thank God, like whatever. But I ended up. I always wanted to have a projector, ultra short throw projector. So I have like 100-inch, refurbished Walmart. Thank you.
Oh,
Refurbished
you got the
Walmart.
projector setup.
I
Nice.
got the ultra short throw projector, like about 20 inches off the ground, and it's like up against the wall, or like it has to be against the wall so it could. But I had to put together the ALR screen, the special screen that rejects overhead light. This is my dream setup. I always wanted a big screen like that, but not a TV. But no, I've heard that hack, like where if you plug it into the coaxial antenna signal. Is that what is that what you're
Yeah,
calling?
yeah, yeah. You'll pick up like two or three channels at
Oh
least.
shit, really? I no, I've never tried it, but like I actually have the TV's it's off to the side now because we have screens everywhere. We have too many screens, but yeah, that's
No, no, I
cool.
hear you. I got like a $15 one from AliEx or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I pick up, I mean, the point is with comment, some of these over the air channels, you get these horror flicks, and then you kind of know it's filtered. Like, okay, I can put this down to watch with my son. It's gonna be, it's
Well,
gonna be,
TV edited, right,
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah. Oh, 36 Chambers of Shaolin. I looked that up. That's the one martial arts film that like,
Okay, yeah, I don't think I've seen that one. I haven't seen that one. Yeah.
yeah, that was a guy in Texas who thought I was like CIA when he first met me because I was with the unions.
Oh yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
And I mean, it turned out I was pretty much with the Antifa type people. Yeah, dude.
Right on.
I still that one guy. I mean, dude, you a librarian, someone as innocent as a librarian, and then years later, he's got the black and
What?
red flag on YouTube.
Yeah.
Doing a hot Cheetos competition. And now he's like a state director up in Texas somewhere.
Have you heard of vibe coding at all?
It's not
At
me.
all on Twitter or whatever. So vibe coding is where you get this AI enabled IDE, VS Code or Cursor is one of the big ones. RPLT, Replete is another one. They have
Okay.
like a free tier. There's another one that kind of is like that. It's just the terminal. It's called Warp. But you get a terminal, and then if you hit a keyboard combination, you can interact with the AI, and you'd be like, listen. I want you to go in this directory and I want you to make this application or whatever. And then it'll code. It's essentially you with AI and coding. If you've used AI in the
Excuse me.
oh, you're good. In the browser, it's very limited, right? So you can do a screenshot or you can do maybe a
Oh.
PDF or whatever, but it's kind of retarded in the web browser because I can't read it or I can't see it or whatever. But if you take AI and you take it out of the browser and you put it in an IDE and then you just make a folder like you're going to make a repo, you know what I mean? Like you would have like a folder on a thing. That's not necessarily going to be forever and always your thing. It's a temporary structure that you're doing to write your code and then you commit it to GitHub or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bitbucket or what's the other
GitHub,
GitHub?
GitHub. That's
Um,
what I use. GitHub,
there's
simple.
a open source one.
Everything.
I can't think. Get whatever it is. I can't think. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyway, you do this thing. You make a repo, and then you can have your thing or whatever. But it's pretty. Vibe coding is what this thing is, where it's just you and the thing, and then you tell it, I want to do this, this, and that, whatever. But it's pretty cool. Like you have to be careful because if you don't know how to read Rust, like I don't know anything about Rust other than oh, it's super secure and I lose concepts of it that I understand. I don't know anything about it, but um like if you know what you're doing and you can see errors or you know how to like make a prompt or whatever, you can go back through your code and then you can like, okay, listen, I want you to like make sure that my code is up to snuff for OWASP
stand.
2023 or whatever standard. Right, right, right. So like you're if you're taking credit card orders or whatever or you're whatever and you're doing it homegrown, well, you got to make sure that you're PCI DSS compliant or whatever so that you can that's just making sure that you follow the law for handling financial transactions or whatever. But of course, a smart person would be, and it's so cheap nowadays for now anyway, it's cheap. You don't have to worry about that. You just get the plugin for your WordPress and you don't have to fuck with any of
Hey,
that
hey, hey,
because you
let's
just make whatever.
okay, you're gonna challenge me now, dude, and this is bad because I may not I may not meet the challenge, but I'm gonna bring up Dino Lamb, my boy Ryan Dahl,
There
dude.
is no challenge here. There is only learning. There is only learning and growing.
That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, when Dan Olivo came on 9 against 1, it's like, Dan, it's just us. Like Mark Halperin, we're just human beings here.
Right. Well, okay.
You can right. I can empathize with him. I mean, I can see where he's coming from.
I understand if you are pent up, okay? I think that's well, that's a normal human thing, right? So you're Dan Olivio. You're curious about Trump enough to tune in to what would be perceived by any other person on the left of the Democrat as two-way would be hostile territory. But you're curious enough to cross that barrier and come over, but you're so pent up because you can't make your points or feel heard that you have to feel antagonized or whatever. I've been there, but at the same time, like it does have to do with personality and if you're really truly there, right? So every time before the after show or whatever happened, it was just me and like fucking everybody else. Just this is my luck. This is the luck that God gives me. I'm surrounded by I'm the only Trump and I'm a soft at that point. I was actually the earlier you go back from you know D-Day or whatever you want to call it, with Biden fucking becoming a fucking vegetable on stage, and then Halpern coming in. July was really when everybody really came in. That's really the truth. They say June, like that Vincent guy. Look, I'm not gonna call him out or whatever, but you know, you know, June. Come on, come on, man, come on. No, whatever. Maybe he did. I'm sure he did. But but you come in with that, but you have to have you want to be heard or whatever. Anyway, I don't know. I have a point, but anyway,
No, 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 no. But well,
I
Dan, so wait, okay. Back then, are you saying it was a much smaller crowd, like chat wise,
oh
and
yeah, absolutely. It was a point like where like routinely we don't break 200, but it's above 150, right? Like on a normal basis, it was not that high. It was as low as like 80 or 90, maybe a little bit over 100 in the morning, and it would fluctuate too because like sometimes you would have like a night show, nobody would show up for the late night thing either. That was the least popular one of the morning. Everybody and their brother was at the morning meeting for sure, but in the evening it wasn't like that big. But anyway, I don't have my point about Dan Olivio, but
well, we were talking about how like the perception of ganging up and going into this setting where you think everyone like he thinks we're like some Trump cult, like but it's like, dude, we all have unique paths, you
right.
know.
Well, I guess that was my point. Like when we were earlier, it was a lot more healthier mix of like Harris Democrats that showed up for they had a reason to
You
because
mean
there
in
was
your post meeting?
yeah. The post meeting, it was me and I was the only Trump's and I was a very
Oh,
soft
you were
yeah.
outnumbered.
I was even softer Trump supporter as time went on, I was like, fuck this, I'm done. But I was truly open to it, and I would talk to Chris, and I would talk to the lawyer from New York, and I would Deborah or whatever. But none of them ever like tried to crush me like a grape. I mean, Chris, like we had question and answer, but Chris has never really come at me like to crush me. But would show up, and then there was this other rich guy that was a black guy,
Can I get some
Jeffrey.
props for number 12, by the way? I give Chris a perfectly good Bible verse like that condemns racism. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's okay. Right.
And he goes, "Oh, my dad's a Baptist preacher." I go, "Dude, what does that have to do? Like, take the win. Like, certain. Okay, let's just for hypotheticals. Let's say these food dyes are harmful. Okay, if they're banned and they were harming you, then Chris's thing is, "Oh, I thought you guys don't believe in big government." It's like, dude,
Well,
it's so
I guess that was my point with Dan Olivio. Even though like but I was also hosting, so I kind of also presumed that I would not be. I'm not going to run the fucking show, okay?
right, right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to run the table like fuck you. This is my Zoom meeting. This is my YouTube channel. I'll tell you what. You're no, dude. I was like meek and meek. I didn't. I had my opinion and I said my had my say, and I said everything that I've ever said that I feel strongly about, whatever, if it ever came up, or but I missed that time, and then it kind of just died for a little bit. So I'm very grateful to you and Raleigh for bringing it back, and stepping up to the plate and fucking swinging. Even if you
I
get out, you are still there and you still swung the bat.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. And it
But but
reminds.
but but Dan, I just don't I don't get it. Like, do you want to have a conversation or do you want to have a fucking fight? You know, I mean, what
Well,
do you
no,
want
that's
to?
the
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, because people say there's that thing about, oh, if we were only like the Democrats, truly solid, it's all smoke and mirrors. And there's so much hate within that tent. And so then they're bringing it into our and I really pray and I hope it's therapeutic for Dan Olivo and all of them. Come in, bring your rage, unburden. We'll turn this cheek, that cheek. We'll pull down our pants. We'll turn our butt cheeks for you too. You know what I mean? Like
Well, we'll virtually do that, but
virtually do that, right? But it's like just let it out, let it out, let it out. He's not going to get around me. I'm going to say, Dan, are you talented? I believe you're talented, and maybe we'll do a share, not to embarrass him, but to promote him, right? And then
Sure.
go, is your talent worth gold? I mean, when did it not become gold, right? Because Olympic medals used to be gold. Like what's happened to society? Let's stop going back to just, oh, the civil rights. Don't tell me about that. When they put Australians away in a turn, I still can't believe Australians were hauled away. And like that isn't like there's nothing for that. I saw some horrible videos out of Australia over COVID.
Oh, dude, they're fucked up. And you also kind of have to back brace that with like understanding that it is social media and the most provocative, fucking over the top thing fucking plays. But putting that into the mix and being fair, it's fucked up that I keep seeing the whatever Sydney police or whatever. It's Yemeni, whatever that guy's name, the Jew from Rebel Media or whatever. They also are big in Canada too. Um, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But I need to learn more about this Dino. This shot. I know enough to be dangerous with JavaScript and Node and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, dude,
But
I was scrolling on the
no,
Zoom.
but I did follow you. Lay this fucking knowledge out a while ago. Maybe not the guy who did this. I follow him on X. Um, but I had just haven't got around to like going into this. Part of this thing is like you have all this power, and then you have the power of all the knowledge of humanity. What do you want to do? And then you're like, I don't fucking know. Yeah, I want a cheeseburger. You
Yeah.
fucking, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Let's start with something simple, like convert this YouTube video that I downloaded to 1440p with the captions or whatever the fuck, you gotta like find or whatever. It's creativity. But anyway, I'm
No, no,
all
no.
over
That
that,
that
man.
that actually that's like yeah, because you can go in a million bazillion directions. But okay, back to how this whole thing, this hacky sack, popped around, and yeah, whenever there's been endeavors before, I've always felt like, oh, and this is the first time the pressure just isn't because we've all been filtered, we've all, I guess, been through um what we're gonna let people know, please, put down your own hand, like we're all trying to be like I was telling Raleigh, if we can simplify hosting so that virtually anyone can be host, we're like just empowering more people
It's so funny. You know something is real like when it just goes natural, right? Like I can't believe how amazing that Friday was or whatever. That whole session and the day before that was also equally awesome too. I think well, that is cool how organic that is. You can't force that. You can't like whatever. And you have a group of people that give a shit and they have basic fucking human being common sense of like I talk make and then you talk and then and then whatever maybe there's an interruption here or whatever but that's good too because you got to let that percolate uh do the thing but am I keeping you up, man? I'm sorry.
No, no, I know. I'm like, so are you doing the morning?
And tomorrow morning, yeah, for sure, yeah, for sure, yeah. yeah, at least for a good half hour or whatever. I do have a lot of shit that's piling up and it's gonna come tomorrow and Tuesday, but yeah, yeah,
Gonna
yeah.
hit you then. Yeah, Raleigh actually said he's gonna host, so he doesn't like the immersive views. I don't know. I'm a big fan. I
I
think
don't
I get
care.
it.
But I'm kind of like you were talking about 36 chambers or whatever. There's a old Jet Li or whatever the oh God, what is his name?
Jackie Chan,
Jet Li. No, not Jet
Jet
Li.
Li,
Not Jackie
Bruce
Chan.
Lee.
Bruce Lee. Thank you. Yeah, Bruce Lee. Yeah, Jesus Christ. I was thinking of the Crow and his son, whatever. Brandon Lee. Anyway, he had a quote, and it's a famous one on YouTube. It's be like water, water can flow or it can crash. It can be in a bowl or it can be in a cup, but be like water, my friend. Like, anyway, it's a cool, it's a dumb, dumb thing, but it's true. It really is,
No,
true.
hey, that is yeah, that gets into all of the drunken boxing, man, and all that stuff. No, because I was gonna say, so yeah, I'm a fan of the immersive. Raleigh, for some reason, isn't. To his credit, these captions will show up in, I think, the gallery view, and then you can do like some sort of overlays. But as far as the community feeling, I don't know. There's something about feeling like everyone's sitting together, like we're in a classroom together. Like
Right.
we're just.
I I'll look. I probably won't be able to come online until like later in the week, maybe. Like with the fuck around or whatever. That's assuming anybody has time. And I gotta fuck around on my side. But like there's a way to bring people in and them all have like more like kind of like what two-way does, but even better. Like more like a produced YouTube show that you're used to? Do you watch any YouTubers that do screen share and do StreamYards or the standard ones?
Well, the
Um,
first time, I mean, Lou Valentino brought me on, but that was using Discord. But I mean, his wasn't laggy. When me and Raleigh tried it with OBS, because our computers, I guess, are old, like it was
yeah.
not. So that was Discord, but that was not.
What's your guys' internet capacity or whatever?
No, no, we have cable internet, so it like bandwidth that way isn't an issue. It's just my computer's now going on like maybe 4 years, and in computer years, it's like dinosaur.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, live is hard. I had a Windows. Oh man, if you want to do streaming with Windows, you got to have a fat wallet and a fat electricity bill too. But I don't and space too. Like it's ridiculous. But I will Mac, Apple, I mean, fuck man. I mean, $500 or 600, but whatever it is for an Apple Mini, Mac Mini, whatever, the newer ones, like it's
No, I thought it's got to be a minimum 1,000 or whatever. Two, maybe.
no, dude, no. Let me share my I'll share my thing.
I can't believe that's something like that. Let's see.
Well, and that's not where you don't shop there. You don't fucking if you're a rube, if you're fucking newbie, okay, yeah, fine. Uh the new one, Mac Mini is like 600, 700 maybe, whatever.
Holy smokes.
Well, let me hit. Yeah, 599. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Wait, you
Yeah,
just got to
you
get a
you
monitor.
this is just cash. It's like five if you're not if you can live with 16 gigabytes of RAM. But this thing is a fucking monster. Any Apple one is a monster. You scale up $1,000, you're already at, like that's a pretty decent bit of RAM there. And you have a lot more power. But you can also do refurbished Macs, certified or whatever. I think there's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
couple
yeah,
other
right.
companies that do this, but like, I don't know whatever. Mac, you know, um, well, Mac Mini. That's $509, okay, if you're okay with, older, things.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
There's no moving parts on these there's nothing that moves on this.
Right.
A fan, you know, I will say I was a big, sorry, I'll stop sharing, but I was a big doubter on Apple for their laptops and things because it was just like, wow, like your fucking Intel Macs are fucking garbage. Like, no, fuck you. At that point, a Windows was superior. And really, what I was after was a terminal. In Windows, you can do a Windows subsystem for Linux too, and it's like a virtual terminal, but it's still native if you want it to be. As native as you want. And you can do all the fucking things that you would do as a fucking nerd would do with the terminal. You can do everything with the terminal. You can yeah. You ever done Emacs or Vim? Or
Yeah,
where are
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
ever
yeah,
are
yeah,
you a
yeah.
terminal nerd or where do you rise and fall in Linux or whatever? What's your you have an opinion? Do you give a shit? Or you're just the developer and you're like, fuck you, give me the laptop and I'll code. Just get out of my
Yeah,
way.
right. No, it's well, yeah, you use the terminal to get like just how do I unlock this thing? And then of course when I FFmpeg, like when I find little hacks,
Yeah, right. It's really cool when you find tricks too, like with terminal. It sometimes it's quicker, sometimes it's not, but it depends. But yeah, I'm not one of these Linux nerds. The only problem with Linux are the nerds that are so high in my I'm gonna go to bed here in a minute. But the Linux nerds that are they're the worst kind of fucking people to ask for help. Because they'll be
the
like, what?
arrogance,
What
dude.
RTFM, dude? Why
Read
don't you
the
read the
fucking
fucking
manual.
manual? Why are you a fucking they make you feel bad and they think they're elite. It's another form of alienation that I disdain
You know
very
what?
much.
That's actually what also made me feel good about adopting Dino because initially, so dude, if we can do one thing, let me see if any of my crap is up. Any
Well,
of my
I was pointing the Mac thing out because you want to talk about the democratization of power and data and knowledge. Go do it on a Mac. Like, if you can afford it. Like I get it if you can't afford it, but like you will get so much more mileage out of that hardware for the next 5 years than you would with a average, fucking $2,000 pimped out, Windows machine or whatever. Like it's not.
is that sorry, are you a Mac devotee?
I'm not a purist, if that's what you're asking. No, you're the best tool for the job is what you can afford, and that's how it goes. And the beautiful thing about Linux is you don't need any of this new shit, whatever. Go to it doesn't really exist anymore, but go to the St. Vincent de Paul and go find the most fucked up old computer, and I guarantee you if you're determined enough, you can load Linux on that motherfucker and you can get it to do stuff. And that's the beginning, the gateway, the Raspberry Pi, but old laptops or your old hardware, your mom's fucking old work laptop that she didn't give a shit about anymore, like pull it out of the thing and you might never have the battery work, but you can
You mean
plug it
there's
in
like
and
all this potential CPU power out there that could
you
be
can
unlocked?
you can absolutely reuse any fucking old computer. That's a beautiful thing about that. But anyway, knowledge economy. Tomorrow, morning meeting post show.
I couldn't
I'm here with our
resist.
Dizzle. I am ML, and this is my co-host. I'm the co-host as well. We are here tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're all here all day long. Register. We're going to put that down in the show notes down below a little bit. And myself and our Dizzle will retweet that tomorrow morning before the show so you can be prepared for the morning meeting with Two Way and this our post show. I like that thumbnail. That's awesome. Who made the thumbnail? Was that
Oh,
you?
Raleigh's been all on top of this.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's funny. That's funny.
You
Yeah.
catch the domain? I got it for $10.
America's Talk Show. Dude, that's awesome. Really? Was it
It's
Hover or
it,
who's your thing?
I'm like Dynadot, Dynadot.
Oh, Dot, old school. That's fucking awesome. They're awesome. They're fucking awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, Ionos and GoDaddy, like Ionos always has these dollar promos on .coms
Yeah.
constantly. But anyways, the top dot ship, whatever, dude. I get in trouble for that too. I end up registering websites and forgetting I'm fucking registered, and then you get a bill you don't know.
I have kept a stable of ones that for whatever reason or another I love or I was gonna do something. I have a library of one. So some I've let go. Some I've let go and I had to like let it go for like a year or what be patient and then I got it back. Like I've done that too. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. I do I've done Dine DNS. They do a good thing for like if they make DNS
No, no,
e
no, not Din DNS, Dyna Dot.
Oh, shit.
This is probably too cheap for to have been in here. Like they finally improved their interface, but like they kind of have a cut, what do you call it, bare bones model, but it gives me exactly what I need in terms of
That's
being able to
perfect.
configure the DNS.
Right.
It kind of forced me because, dude, again, like you asked me about the terminal, I know it just enough to know what I need to know, and then
Well, right, right. That's all you need. Right.
when it came to DNS, that was like a whole nother mystery world. But because of the previous clients
Tell the
and
tale. Yeah, tell the tale.
I finally learned like manipulating the A records,
Yeah.
with the security certificate, like a www is different than, whatever. Just like America's Talk dot America's Talk dot show would have a different security certificate than www dot America's Talk dot
Right.
show.
Right.
So you
Right.
have to have an additional record. And I went onto the Dino chat in Discord and they hooked a brother up.
That's awesome, dude.
So that
Yeah.
was cool. Like they weren't arrogant. Like, so that was like, okay. But their number two guys, like a big rainbow. I think whatever. I mean, hey, more power to him, but you're gonna get that. You can't avoid that in the code world.
Well, but in the real world though, how you interact with people and how I interact with people is the same way, right? Like I'm sure you take people as they are,
Yeah, exactly.
person as they are. Like, if I was Dan Olivio and I was like calling you out or attempting to call you out, whatever, like or whatever that is, But yeah, or Chris, I don't know.
The three common points though with Chris, right? Okay, so yeah, no, men and women's sports, fixing the border, right? Like
Right.
legitimately, and then union out of politics. So
Right.
those are three. That's like pretty good. Okay, so you don't like his personality, Chris. Like what? That's like the least important factor you could come up with is personality.
Right. Well, he's just not gonna go for
Not
it.
gonna butt, yeah.
He was stuck on the amount of people who voted for him or not for a long time. He would challenge you openly, and he never challenged me. But that was never my point. My point was I don't care. Like my point was the opposite of it. My point was from reality, which was Donald Trump doesn't have to get 80% of the black vote. He doesn't have to do any of that bullshit. He only has to get enough to win. That was my point from that point, and I was right. And that's what's fucking common. It's not even a point. It's fucking common sense. You don't need to get all of the union. You just got to pull enough to win, you know. And he did. Like I had an argument with my son earlier tonight, because he's coming of age and he has his own opinions, and he's like, you know, he doesn't understand why I voted for Trump. And it's like, listen, he's like MAGA, and they're cult members, and da da da. I'm like, listen, hold on, stop. Okay, MAGA alone did not get Donald Trump elected. They were important, don't get me wrong, but they alone would have lost the election if it was just them. It was Maha, it was Democrats, it was Union, it was Independents, it was it was all these people that came together. So he only had to get just enough of those people and you win. And he swept all the swing states. He swept he had the majority, he had the popular vote as well. I don't care how much people want to poke a try to poke a hole in that balloon. We won the will of the people, period. So yeah. Anyway, tomorrow, catch
All
me,
right.
catch